Right. Yeah, sorry about the delay, guys. Okay, can everybody hear me? Guys, turn on your cameras. Right. Is everyone here? Let's see. Right. Okay. Right, guys. Okay, so today, right, we are going to talk about pituitary physiology, the pituitary gland. Now, I know we have discussed a lot of pituitary related physiology already, right? When we talked about, especially with me, you all talked about ADH, and then you all have discussed Cushing's and all those ACTH related physiology part, right? So we've already discussed a lot, but what we are going to do today is we are going to fill in the gaps, right? And complete the physiology, right? All right, guys, if you all have any issues, right, regarding camera or anything, right, just drop Kavin the message. He's here, right? Okay, so let's start. Pituitary physiology, right? First thing, guys, pituitary gland, right? This is also called the hypophysis cerebri, right? Cerebri. Now let's just break this word down, right? Hypophysis. What does this mean? This means, guys, lying under, right? Lying under. Okay. This is Greek, huh? This is Greek, lying under. Okay. And cerebri, right? We are talking about the brain. So pituitary basically is a small organ which is lying under the brain, right? Lying under the brain. Okay. Now, the other thing, this is called the master gland, guys. Master gland, right? Why is this called the master gland? We will see, right? We are going to see it's going to produce a large number of different hormones. Okay, various hormones, right? Then the structure, guys, we will draw the structure in a while, right? But from your skeletal note, you can see, right? We've already mentioned them, right? There are two main lobes, right? It's okay, no need to write down this. I will tell you all when to start, right? And the anteroposterior diameter is about 8 millimeters. Transverse diameter is about 12 millimeters, right? This is just basic anatomy, just for you to get the idea. And the weight about 500 to 1000 milligrams, right? Milligrams, right? Now, here's an important point, guys. The location, guys. Take your skeletal note. Take your skeletal note. Right. Let me also share the screen. Right. Can you all see this? Right. Just the size, guys. I can't see your faces, others. Right. Oh, okay, there you go. Right. Look at this. So this, guys, this green highlighted bone, right? This is our sphenoid bone. This is a part. Now you all know our skull is made up of a number of different bones, right? This is the sphenoid bone, right? Especially for the juniors who are here, right? And this one, guys, this forms part of the base of the skull, right? Base of the skull. Now, look at this, guys, here in this sphenoid bone. Now, first thing I want you all to notice, this is a butterfly shaped bone, right? And then we get this groove like structure here, right? This is our sella turcica, right? Sella turcica, right? Now this one, guys, this is where our pituitary lies. Now look at this. This is a top down view, right? Top down view. If you look from the top, right, this is our nose, right? The nasal bones there, right? And this is the sphenoid. This entire butterfly shaped thing is our sphenoid. Now the sphenoid, guys, it is, first of all, it is divided into these wings, right? Mainly there are two wings, guys. Look at this, this green one. This is known as the lesser wing, right? This is the lesser wing, right? And then this red one here like this, right? This is our greater wing, right? This is the greater wing of our sphenoid, the lesser wing and the greater wing, right? And then when you look through this, when you look from the posterior, guys, you can see two smaller structures here like this, right? Two smaller structures. So here we have we call this is the lateral plate, right? And the medial plate, right? These parts are not really important for our discussion here. our discussion, guys, we are going to focus here in the cellar region, right? It's like a saddle, guys. It's like a saddle. You know, on the horse, you put a saddle. Huh? It's something like that. Now, look at this. Let me erase this to make it a little bit more clear. Here, guys, in this sphenoid, there are some specific openings, right? As you can see, right? As you can see, there are some specific openings. This, let me put this here. This opening, guys. Can someone tell me what this is? What this is? What are these openings? Huh? What are these? Guys, wake up, wake up, wake up. What are these openings? Huh? Anyone?
Optic.
Ah, optic what? Not the optic nerve. Huh? The opening is the optic canal, right? Optic canal. So this is optic canal, right? Optic canal. So what passes through this? Yes, correct. The optic nerve. The optic nerve comes through this. This is very important. Huh? Then, okay, here underneath this lesser wing, we get another opening. It's not very clear in this view. If you look at the posterior view, it's much clearer. This one, right? This one. What is this opening? What is that opening? What is that opening there? Huh?
Superior orbital fissure.
Excellent. Superior orbital fissure, right? Superior orbital fissure, right? Here, guys, there is actually a lot of structures passing through. Like there are mnemonics for you to remember this, especially if you all are in first year and you all want to study anatomy, right? You all will be expected to remember the order of the structures in the superior orbital fissure. Okay, so I mean, just Google some mnemonics and memorize those. Those actually, guys, there is no other way to remember them, right? There are a lot there, right? We'll not talk about those. Then, can someone tell me underneath that this one? Something is wrong with my pen, guys. See there, that one. What is this foramen? What is this foramen?
Rotundum.
Rotundum.
Excellent. Foramen rotundum, right? Right. Good. You all remember, no? Foramen rotundum. These ones, guys, for me, of course, I have to keep looking at these at least every month. Otherwise, they just disappear, right, out of my cortex, right? Then, guys, here we have another small one. What is this one? This is foramen. Yes, foramen ovale. Good, good, good. Right, foramen ovale. And then, guys, in the lateral aspect here, it's not very clear. Right, we are supposed to have another small one somewhere here, right? This is the foramen spinosum, right? Okay, not very important, right? But there are, especially if you are students sitting the anatomy exams, right? In the first, second years, then yes, you have to know these and the structures passing through them. Now, what we are going to focus on is, guys, the pituitary location with this optic canal, right? Look at this, guys. Look at this. Here, now, when we look, if we look at this side view, the pituitary gland, you all know, right? Let me erase this. It hangs like this and it is nicely positioned inside this sella turcica, right? It is nicely positioned inside this sella turcica, right? Now look at this, guys. From the optic canal, the optic nerves come. And what happens? They cross just anterior to the sella region. They cross, right? They cross and then they travel. This crossing area, guys, this area is very important. We call this the optic chiasm, right? Optic chiasm. Okay, optic chiasm. Now, if you look at this structure, guys, in the side view, if you look at this structure, right, it will be, let me erase this pituitary that I drew here. It will be something like this. Pick another color. From this, one optic nerve comes. From here, another one comes. Sorry, from here. From here, another one comes, and they cross and they travel, right? Now, look at this, guys. Why is this important, right? Why is this important? Now, our pituitary gland, guys, you decide the anterior and the posterior of the pituitary gland based on how it's located, right? Based on how it's located. When the side that is facing our facial side and the posterior side, right? That's how we have the anterior and the posterior pituitary. this optic chiasm, guys, this optic chiasm, right? This is located slightly anterior and superior, slightly anterior and superior to the pituitary gland. So what do I mean by that? If this is my pituitary gland, this is my anterior pituitary, right? Okay, let me stop the share. Right now, enough share. Right? Look, this is my anterior pituitary, right? This is the posterior, right? And here we have this sella turcica structure from the sphenoid bone, right? Where is this optic chiasm, guys? It is somewhere here. Optic chiasm is somewhere here, right? Now look at this, guys. We will see, right? When there are pituitary pathologies, right? This optic chiasm is one of the first to get affected, right? This is why this anatomy is important, okay? Right? Even in the disorders that we are going to talk today and tomorrow, today and day after, right? We will see this optic chiasm getting disturbed, right? And then that is going to result in certain clinical manifestations, which we will talk about later. Okay, everyone clear up to that, right? That's just some basic things for y'all guys, right? Now we will dive into the actual pituitary physiology and the other pathologies, right? Look at this. First of all, guys, we'll look at the structure of the pituitary, right? Structure, right? Okay, y'all can draw this. Just draw this, guys. Draw this with me. Mhm. Guys, draw it exactly like I'm drawing. I will tell you all why, right? Right. Right. Like this, guys. This anterior pituitary will draw it in a different color. The entire this top part and the posterior pituitary draw it in one color, right? Okay. And then the anterior pituitary, let's draw it in another color. Okay, like this. I want you all to focus here, guys. Here, firstly, I want you all to draw one swelling here. Okay, draw one swelling here. And then here also, I want you all to draw another swelling. Look at this swelling here, like this. I want you all to draw those two swellings, very important. Okay. And then you all can, and the other important thing, guys, when you all are drawing, right, this midline should be in the posterior pituitary, right? This midline should be in the posterior pituitary. Okay, don't put the anterior one to the middle. Anterior is anterior. Okay. Right, done. All good. Right, look at this, guys. So this at the top here, right, at the top here we have our hypothalamus, right? Hypothalamus. right? Hypothalamus, guys, basically it's a gray matter area. What do we mean by gray matter area? It is full of various neuronal cell bodies, right? We will see later, we will see the separate nuclei and all those structures we'll talk about later, right? Here, guys, this posterolateral swelling, right? Now, when we draw we'll draw the 3D structure next, then you will understand it a little bit better. This posterolateral swelling, guys, coming from this hypothalamus, this is the mammillary body, right? Mammillary body. There are actually two of these, guys. There are two of these, right? But in this cross section, we cannot draw both, right? We will draw the second one in the 3D diagram, right? Look at this here, guys. This part is the optic chiasm, right? Optic chiasm. We are not going to focus on that right now. Then this swelling, I told you all to draw a swelling here, right? This swollen area. This, guys, this is a very important area. We call this the median eminence. Median eminence, right? Median eminence, right? This is a medial swelling, right? Why there is this swelling here is very important. We'll talk about, right? We'll talk about when we come to the physiology, right? Median eminence. Then, guys, then here, right? This portion, the portion that connects from here to here, this is the pituitary. From here downwards, this is the entire pituitary. From the median eminence upwards, everything is hypothalamus. From here to here, hypothalamus. From here downwards, pituitary, right? This space this structure in between the hypothalamus and the pituitary, guys, this we call it the infundibulum. Infundibulum, right? And another way to call this is the pituitary stalk, right? We call this the pituitary stalk. This is also very important, right? This structure we will see when there is isolated damage to the pituitary stalk. There are some special conditions which we will talk about. Okay, right? Now look at this, guys. The right. Let me. Okay. So here, right here, guys, as you can see, we drew the pituitary, the posterior pituitary in one color, and we drew the anterior pituitary in another. Now, if you can see, guys, right, the posterior pituitary, okay, we'll just mark them. This is posterior pituitary, right? This is the anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary. Okay, right? The posterior pituitary, guys, actually it is consistent of two parts. It is consistent of two parts, right? This bulk portion, the bulk portion of the posterior pituitary, right? Bulk portion of the posterior pituitary, guys, we call it the pars nervosa. Pars nervosa, right? Pars nervosa. Pars means what, guys? Portion, right? Nervosa, nervous tissue, right? So it is a portion that has some nervous tissue, right? We will talk about the embryology, then you will get the picture better, right? So these are pars nervosa. Then, guys, here, just when we, after passing the median eminence, we get the stalk. As the stalk comes down, guys, this initial portion here, right? Okay, this initial portion just before the pars nervosa and just after the stalk, right? This one we call this nothing special. Huh? This is the infundibular portion. Infundibular portion of pars nervosa. Pars nervosa. Understandable, no? Bottom is the pars nervosa itself. This bit just below the infundibulum, we call it the infundibular portion of pars nervosa. Okay, right? Now, both of these structures, guys, both of these structures together are called the posterior pituitary. Okay, both of these structures together are called the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary includes the pars nervosa and the infundibular portion of the pars nervosa. Okay, right? Clear? Right. Then look at this guy, this anterior pituitary, right? This also has several parts, guys. Look at this. The first thing is this bulk portion, the bulk portion of the anterior pituitary, right? The bulk. This we call it, guys. Let me erase this. This we call it, right? Pars What? Does anyone know what we call this? Pars?
Distalis.
Excellent. Why are we calling this pars distalis? Why? Why?
Away from.
Exactly. This midline, right? Any structure, guys, in our body, you all know, in the human body, we call them proximal or distal. Anything away from the midline, we call it distal, right? A distal structure. So that is why we call this the pars distalis. This is the portion. Pars means portion. Distalis, distal, right? Away from the midline. Okay. So this is pars distalis, right? Then, guys, here, very important structure. There is another small structure here, right? You all can actually draw this in another color, guys, right? Here, right? Up to about somewhere here, right? This portion, guys, is in between the pars distalis and the pars nervosa, right? This is right in the middle, right in the middle, right? This one, guys, this is called pars intermedia, pars intermedia, right? Okay, just right. Keep it written down for now. Later we will talk about this pars intermedia, guys. In humans, it's rudimentary, right? Functionality is less, structure is not very important, but in some other animals, it's very important. We'll see, right? Okay. Then, guys, with this same pars intermedia, right? Moving upwards, we get another structure, right? And this structure, right, goes all the way like this, all the way upwards. And this structure connects the anterior pituitary to the stalk. It connects this anterior pituitary to the stalk, right? Okay. This green structure here, this is called pars tubera, PARS. Don't write PASS, PARS, pars tuberalis, tuberalis, right? It's just an extension, but what it does is it helps to join with the stalk. It helps to join with the stalk, right? Now, all of these three together, guys, form the anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary. Okay, anterior pituitary. Right? Okay. Now, the pituitary infundibulum, guys. Look at this. So, if you look at the infundibulum, it is composed of what? It is having some neural structures, right? Some neuronal structures that is coming with the posterior pituitary. At the same time, it also has the pars tuberalis. This entire thing, guys, from here, this entire thing is the infundibulum. Huh? So there is some portion of pars tuberalis as well in the infundibulum. Very important to understand this concept. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. So all good. I'm going to erase it. Right. All good. Right. Look at this. We'll go to the next one. Now, next one is just a rough sketch, guys. You all can draw it a little bit smaller on a side, just to get, it's not a very accurate one, but just I want you all to get the picture into your head, right? That's why I'm drawing this, right? It's not the most accurate, just draw it on a side, right? We will draw, first we'll draw the brain, right? The brain, something like this, right? And the cerebellum, right? Something like that. It's not very nice, right? Keep a small gap here, right? And then you all know we have the midbrain, pons, and medulla, right? Something like this, right? Now, the skull, guys, the skull surrounds all of these structures, right? So I'm going to draw, this red is the skull, huh? The red is the skull, right? Okay, this is a skull. And then on top of that, we'll draw his skin, right? This is the head, right? Somewhere here, and then his eye, right? Okay. Okay. Something like this, right? Look at this, guys. Here, the pituitary, if you look at a 3D structure, it looks something like this guy, right? This here at the top is the hypothalamus, right? Hypothalamus. This is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. Okay. And then remember we talked about the mammillary bodies. The mammillary bodies, guys, they extend from the posterolateral aspects, right? Two mammillary bodies like that, right? Two mammillary bodies. Okay. And then, right, we look at this. It is something like this, guys. Right? This is somewhat, not exact, but just for you to get the idea, right? Okay. Hypothalamus, right? Here is the median eminence, guys. Median eminence. Median eminence. Okay. Then this is the anterior pituitary, and the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary. Okay. Right? Right? The eye, guys, it's better if you all draw it a little bit higher so that we can show this also, right? Somewhere there, right? From somewhere here, guys, what happens, right? The optic nerve comes, right? Optic nerve comes, and from the other eye, the other optic nerve comes. We cannot draw it here. We draw a dotted line, and it crosses somewhere here. It crosses somewhere there. Okay? It crosses somewhere there. Right? This is not a very accurate diagram, but I want you to just get this 3D. Otherwise, every time I know, guys, we only draw this diagram, right? It's good for our understanding, but you all have to be able to imagine this 3D one when we come to our pathology, right? The 2D one is good for us to understand the different structures, but I want you all to be able to visualize them. Okay, right? Right, and on top of the, what is on top of the hypothalamus, guys? On top of the hypothalamus, we get the thalamus. We get the thalamus, right? On top of the hypothalamus, it's the thalamus. Okay, right? Okay. What are these structures? What are these swellings that I drew here? This is the midbrain. This is the pons. This is the medulla, right? Midbrain, pons, and medulla. Right? Okay. Right. Right? All good. Right? Shall we move on? Right. Now, guys, now we will come to this important part, and very interesting part. Right? I'm erasing. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Right. Look at this, guys. Now we will come to this embryology. Right? This embryology, guys, very interesting subject. But the problem is most universities, they don't spend a lot of time on it. Right? Embryology. Right. Look at this, guys. Put the topic development, right? Development. Right. I hope you all had time to draw that thing. We will go through that as well. Right. Before that, development of the pituitary gland. Right. Basically, we are talking about the embryology. The first thing I want you all to know, guys, development of the pituitary gland starts at about the 4th week. Right. 4th week of gestation. Starts. Starts. It doesn't finish then. Right. We'll see what is happening. It starts at around the 4th week. Okay. So this is called what, guys? This 4th week is called the embryonic period. Embryonic period. Right? What is this embryonic period? From the 4th week to the 8th week. Okay. What about the 1st to the 3rd week? What is it called? 1st week to 3rd week is called what? 1st to 3rd? Called what? If this is embryonic, what is before embryonic?
Pre-embryonic.
Good. Right? Pre-embryonic. Right? Pre-embryonic period. Right? And then from the 9th week to birth, what do we call this? What do we call this?
Fetal.
Excellent. Fetal period. So if you all have any friends who are pregnant, now I also have a few friends who are pregnant, right? Right. If it's usually, guys, this 4th week to 8th week, even the mother doesn't know, right? Usually pregnancy more on average is detected at around 11 to 12 weeks, right? Even before that, they don't usually suspect, right? Even if there are delays in the periods or menstrual cycle, right? They don't suspect. So most of the time, this embryonic period is missed, right? You usually get the news from a friend or relative when it's already in the fetal. Okay, so if you are by any chance, if any friend detects it within the 4th to 8th week, you can ask how is your embryo. After the 9th week, how is your fetus doing, right? Okay, medical. You can be more medical. Now look at this. Now, so development starts in the embryonic period, right? Development starts in the embryonic period. Let's see what is happening here. Here, guys, first draw this, right? During the 4th week, right? Our embryo, right, looks something like this, right? Right. Right. I know this is human. This is all of us. This is what we look like. Not just human, guys. You all know, right? Mammals in general, this is what we look like, right? We cannot distinguish most species and humans during the embryonic period, right? We all look the same. We all look the same. So don't discriminate. Okay, all the same, all the same, right? This is around the 4th week, guys. This is what we look like, and here you can draw. This is the primitive lens, guys. Okay, we are not going to go into full-on embryology now, but this is one of the parts that go in help form the eye, right? The heart, guys. The heart develops somewhere here. Okay, the heart develops somewhere here. The heart is one of the first organs to start development, guys. Around the 3rd week, we start developing the heart. Okay, and by the 7th week, all 4 chambers of the heart have already been formed. Okay, right? And these ones, guys, these 4, right? Sometime later there will be a 5th. Or these are the pharyngeal pouches, right? We're not going to talk about these now, right? These are very important in surgery, right? Just, I mean, just draw some. Oh, guys, this is wrong. I forgot here, right? This is important, right? Otherwise, big problem. Okay, so just draw this fellow. Now, this is not what we are really interested in. What we are interested in is this: what is inside of this, right? So you all can draw it and just keep drawing. I will also. What is inside is what we are going to focus on, right? Right here, guys, use 3 colors. This first one color. Then I will draw the second one now. You all also use the same pattern, then it's easy. Right, and the next one, another color. And the final, this portion we are not going to talk about, but just draw. Right, this middle one, guys, is just one. You all can just draw one structure. The other 2, we have to separate it a little from the middle. That's why I do it. Just draw some dotted lines there. Right, and this also, same for this also. Right, right. And here, this space is also very important. Draw a nice space there, like that. Nice space there. Right. Okay. Once we cover these basics, guys, the diseases become very easy, right? That's why we are going from here, right? Once you know the cell types, how they develop, right? Everything becomes much easier. Okay, look at this, guys. Why I drew this? This is very important here, right? This gap here, this gap space there, right? What do you all think this is in an adult? In an adult, what do you think this gap is?
Next.
Close. Right. This is, guys, this is the primitive oral cavity, right? We call this the stomodium. Stomodium. Okay, stomodium. This is the primitive oral cavity, right? This one, guys, actually it is covered with a membrane, so it doesn't open like now in us. You all know, from when you open the mouth, there is a direct connection to your digestive tract, to your lungs. It's like a fully opened pathway. But here for these ones, it is sealed, right? There is a membranous seal there, right? So nothing will go in like that, right? So this is the stomodium. This structure is also very important. Just mark it and keep it. Now what we are going to do is, guys, right, we are going to take this inner structure that we drew, right? We are going to take it out and we are going to straighten it, right? Because with this curve, we cannot discuss anything. Okay, we're going to take this out and we are going to straighten it. When we take it out and straighten, guys, it's going to look something like this. Draw this, huh? Right, draw from the same colors, huh? This is the red portion. Then the next one is that blue one. If you all used other colors, just use those colors, right? And then the green. Right, and this final portion we are not going to talk about, right? That is not important for us. Okay, right, this is what it looks like, guys, right? Okay, now, okay, all done, right? Look at this, guys. This top portion, right, from here to here, this is, guys, this is our forebrain, right? Forebrain, right? Forebrain. What is the special scientific name for this? Prosencephalon. Prosencephalon is one word, huh? Cephalon. Prosencephalon, right? Prosencephalon. Okay. Then this middle portion, the blue one, that in my one it's blue, in your one, I'm not sure which color you all use, right? This is our midbrain. Midbrain. Right? Midbrain. What is the name here? Mesencephalon. 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 Okay. Forebrain, midbrain, and what is the last one? This green portion. What is this?
Feelings.
Yeah, the hindbrain or the hindbrain, right? Hindbrain, right? What is the special name for this? Very scary one. What is the name?
Feelings.
No. This is called, guys, we'll come to that part. That's another one. This is called rhombencephalon. Rhombencephalon, right? So forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Prosencephalon, mesencephalon, rhombencephalon, right? Okay. Right. Now look at this. The forebrain, guys, or the prosencephalon is further divided into two. That's why we drew it as two parts, right? We separated it with a dotted line, right? What are these two parts? The top one, guys, this top one is called the telencephalon. Shashank, this is the telencephalon, huh? Right? Telencephalon, right? Then this second one, guys, this is the diencephalon. Diencephalon. Okay? Telencephalon and diencephalon. Then this middle one, guys, it doesn't divide into any other structure. We drew it just as one part. So it's just the same thing. It's the mesencephalon, right? It's the mesencephalon, right? It doesn't divide further, right? And this hindbrain, the rhombencephalon, divides into two parts. right? One is, write it down, methane, M-E-T-E-N, methane, right? Metencephalon, metencephalon, okay? And this last one is the myelencephalon, guys, M-Y-E, right here, M-Y-E, M-Y-E-L-E-N, myelencephalon, right? Myelencephalon. Now, why are we learning all these cephalons? We'll see, right? Just for you to get an idea, guys. Telencephalon gives rise to what? Gives rise to our cerebrum, cerebrum, right? The cerebral hemispheres, right? Our cerebrum, right? Diencephalon, guys, gives rise to two things: thalamus, our thalamus, and our hypothalamus, hypothalamus, right? Our thalamus and our hypothalamus. Okay, right? Then mesencephalon is our midbrain, guys. It's our midbrain. Remember when we drew before, we looked at the midbrain, pons and medulla. This mesencephalon gives rise to the midbrain. Okay, midbrain. Metencephalon, guys. Metencephalon gives rise to two structures: pons, our pons, and our cerebellum. Cerebellum, right? Pons and cerebellum. Okay. And myelencephalon, what do you think? Huh? Excellent. Medulla oblongata, right? Medulla oblongata. Right? Okay. Now, looking at this, for our discussion on the pituitary, which structure do you think is important? Huh? What do you think is important?
Diencephalon.
Yeah, we are going to focus a lot on this diencephalon, guys. Why? It is giving rise to this structure, which is very important for our pituitary, because as we saw, right, from the hypothalamus, only the posterior pituitary part was connected, right? We'll see how that is also happened, right? So take a minute to finish this diagram, right? Okay. Right. This embryology, guys, really interesting subject. If you all can find, the book I'm using is from Dr. Kumar Datta. I don't know if you all can find it. I think in India it's available. Online it might be there, right? If you all actually want to read, embryology is one of the most interesting subjects. Huh? Okay. Universities, they don't spend a lot of time on this subject. Right, okay. You all are done, no? Right, let's leave this. Let me share the screen now. Right, guys, now, if you all drew that diagram at home, take that page, or if you all printed it out, take it out, right? We will use that now to see what is exactly happening, right? If you all didn't draw, if you all were too lazy, it's okay. You all can just draw it quickly now, right? But we'll not spend a lot of time there, right? Guys, can you all see the screen? All good? You all can see this, right? Right. Let's see what is happening here, right? Give me a second. Right. Look at this. What is happening here, right? Now, so this is, we have just cut this part. We have cut somewhere from here, right? Somewhere from here, and we have taken this embryo, right? We have taken the embryo, we have cut it somewhere, somewhere here, right? We have cut it somewhere there and taken the embryonic structure, right? Okay. So we start in the embryonic period around the 4th week, we say, right? Look at this, guys. Write these down. Now, this one, first one is, guys, around day 26, right? Now, 4 weeks means what? Around 28, right? 4 weeks is about day 28. We start a little bit just before the, that's why we said around the 4th week, right? Just slightly before the actual 4th week, right? So this first diagram is around day 26. Day 26, right? Here, guys, these structures, I hope you all can now remember. This is the telencephalon, this is the diencephalon, right? Okay, and this is the mesencephalon, the midbrain, right? Midbrain. The rest of it, we don't need to really look at it, right? Look at this guy. Around day two, and what was this structure here? This was our primitive mouth, or we call this the stomodium. Stomodium, right? Stomodium. Okay. Around day 26, guys, around day 26, right? What happens is there is a thickening, right? Write this down. A thickening of the roof of the stomodium. The roof of the stomodium starts thickening up. That's why we have put it in a blue color here like this, right? The roof of the stomodium starts thickening up, right? Okay, so this is the first step. This is the first step, right? What is happening? Okay, right. Then around day 28, this second diagram is day 28, right? Around day 28, right? Around day 28, guys, this now we started off as a thickening of the roof of the stomodium. Now it has become an invagination, right, of the roof of the stomodium. When we can see this invagination, guys, this is, it appears like a pouch, right? It appears like a small bag or a pouch. This we call it, guys, the Rathke's pouch. Rathke's pouch. Okay, Rathke's pouch. This Rathke's pouch, guys, why is it called Rathke? Why is it called Rathke's? Huh? Anyone? Why is Rathke's pouch called Rathke's? Huh? It was found by
The
Mr.
scientist.
Rathke. Huh? Yeah, the person's name is Martin Rathke. Huh? He's the one who found it, so he called it Rathke's pouch. Okay, right? Okay. Then at the same time, guys, now look at this top. In the diencephalon, at the same time, this is the diencephalon. From the diencephalon, guys, the flow of the diencephalon starts bulging out, right? Flow of diencephalon starts bulging out, right? Starts bulging out, right? Now, this diencephalon, guys, now what is this? This is a part of our forebrain. So all of this tissue, guys, all of this tissue is what kind of tissue? This is neural tissue, right? This is neural tissue, right? All of this tissue is neural tissue. So this flow of the diencephalon, when it's coming down, along with it, there is neural tissue also coming that way. Huh? It's all neural tissue. It's all neural tissue. Okay, right? Okay, right. Then we'll go to the next one. This is around, guys, around day 42. Around day 42, right? Around day 42. Okay, what has happened? What has happened, guys? You can see, right, the Rathke's pouch has further moved upwards. Rathke's pouch has further moved upwards, while the flow of the diencephalon has further come downwards, right? This has further moved downwards. Now, and you can see, guys, here, right, it has formed like a small, oh, okay, sorry about that, guys. Where is my, yeah, sorry about that, right? Can you all see? Right, look at this. So the Rathke's pouch has moved upwards, right? The flow of the diencephalon has moved further downwards. And if you all can see, if you all can appreciate a small, the structure has rounded off a little bit, right? It has rounded off a little bit. This rounding off, guys, when we see that, we call this the neurohypophyseal bud, right? This is the neurohypophyseal bud. Okay, neurohypophyseal bud. Okay, right? Now look at this. The neurohypophyseal bud, guys, this is around day 60, right? Around day 60, right? Okay, this is about 2 months now, about 2 months, right? Around day 60, right? Here, what is happening, guys? You can see, you can appreciate that the neurohypophyseal bud has further moved down, right? Has further moved down. Okay. And at the same time, guys, this upper area starts thinning little by little. This upper area starts thinning little by little. This we say, when we see this thinning, right? We call this the infundibulum. This is our stalk, infundibulum, right? Infundibulum. Okay. The bud, it keeps moving downwards. Look at this, guys. The Rathke's pouch. What has happened here? The Rathke's pouch, guys, if you can appreciate, I have put it in green. It might not be very clear, right? If you all can just color it in green. The Rathke's pouch starts touching the neurohypophyseal bud, right? Okay. What is the structure we said in between the posterior pituitary and the anterior pituitary?
Intermediate.
Yes, this is the pars intermedialis. The moment the Rathke's pouch touches with the bud, the neurohypophyseal bud, right? It forms a connection there, guys. That is our intermediate lobe, or we call it pars intermedialis, right? Pars intermedia. Okay. Now, at the same time, another thing I want you to appreciate from the previous diagram, look at this gap, guys. Look at this gap, this distance here, right? This distance there versus here, right? What can we see, guys? The base of the Rathke's pouch, right? The base of the Rathke's pouch is diverging little by little, right? Base of Rathke's pouch diverging, right? Diverging. Base of Rathke's pouch diverging. Okay, right? So that's about day 60. Okay, right? Now look at this, guys. This is around day 70, right? Around day 70, this is what it looks like, right? Look at this, guys. Infundibulum has completely formed, right? And this, now we call this pars nervosa, because it has formed the bulk. It has formed the bulk of the pituitary, of the posterior pituitary. We call this the pars nervosa, right? And the pars distalis is also nicely formed, right? Pars distalis nicely formed. What happens here, guys? The Rathke's pouch, the base of the Rathke's pouch, you all can see it little by little starts regressing, right? Base of Rathke's pouch regress, right? Regressing, right? First it will be broken down a little bit, then little by little those broken down pieces, it will disappear, right? They will be regressing. Okay, regressing, right? At the same time, guys, look at this. Here y'all can use another color and draw, right? As the pars distalis, as it reaches the infundibular region, another structure starts attaching there, which we called what? Pars tuberalis, right? Pars tuberalis. Okay, pars tuberalis. Okay, the green one is the pars intermedia, right? Pars intermedia, right? Then by around day 90, guys, formation is complete. By around day 90, formation is complete. And at the same time, what happens, guys? What is this? What is this I have drawn? What is this?
Bone.
Yeah, this is the developing sphenoid bone, right? The developing sphenoid bone. Here, guys, there is an important structure here for you all to remember. So now the pituitary has now fully formed, right? And the sphenoid bone starts forming. There is, guys, right, a structure, right, that is also coming here. You all can draw it like this, huh? And it covers this thing. Look at this. This is called, guys, this portion here. What it does, what does it do? It seals. Now you all know this here is the rest of the brain, the rest of the brain. So it sort of makes a seal between the pituitary and the rest of the brain. We call this, guys, we call this, let me draw it in another color. We call this diaphragm cella. Diaphragm cella or cella, right? Diaphragm cella. This is, guys, actually a structure from our dura, right? This is from our dura. Okay, this is from our dura, right? It is a tiny ligament-like structure. It is not a. It's formed from dura. Okay, it's formed from dural tissue. Okay, right. Just know that because we will talk about some pathologies there as well. Right? Clear about this? Up to this, all good?
Could
Yes.
you show the third diagram once again?
Third diagram.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I-
Right. Okay. Now, so from this diagram, from this knowledge that we know up to now, why is this important? Why is this important? Look at this, guys. Just from this embryology, what can you tell me? Let me erase the board. Okay, you all write down. Complete the drawing. Right? Oh, good. Right? See some faces. Right. Okay. Let me stop the share, guys. Okay. Look at this. Now. Right. From the embryology that we talked about, right? Why is this important? Right? From this embryology, guys, can someone like just try? Huh? What can you tell me about the thalamic, pituitary connections rather, right? Based on this embryology, what can you all tell me about the connections between the hypothalamus and the, first tell me this, hypothalamus and the posterior pituitary and hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. Can you all tell me anything? Because I haven't told you all, like something.
The hypothalamus and posterior pituitary are almost or always like an
Almost
connection.
always.
Like they're connected throughout the what do you call
They
the
have the
development.
same origin.
Yeah, same origin.
Same origin.
The same origin. Okay, okay. What about
And
the,
the
yeah,
anterior pituitary is mostly from the Rathke's pouch, and it then attaches.
and sorry,
And it gets like it's attached later on. Like it's not.
right, right. Okay, okay, okay. Good. Yeah, good. So you all have a basic idea. Here's what I want you all to actually look at, guys. Now, hypothalamus is what? It's a bunch of gray matter, right? Hypothalamus is a bunch of gray matter. The pituitary, now we know the posterior pituitary is actually what? Posterior pituitary, guys, is actually an extension from the diencephalon, right? It is actually an extension of the diencephalon, right? So it is made up of neural tissue. So what is the special name for the posterior pituitary, right? Neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis, right? Neurohypophysis. Anterior pituitary, guys. Anterior pituitary comes from where? Anterior pituitary, right, comes from our stomodium, from the roof of our stomodium, from our primitive oral cavity, right? Our nasopharyngeal area, actually. Okay. So because of that, guys, This is mainly composed of cuboidal epithelial tissues, guys. It is mostly glandular in origin, glandular tissue, right? Glandular tissue. Okay. In our body, if there are any tissues concerning with glands, what is the special word we use there? Even for cancers. Yes,
Adeno.
the word adeno. So what is the name for the anterior pituitary? Adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis. Okay, right? This is why they are called those names, right? Nothing special there. Neural tissues or neurohypophysis for the posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary mostly glandular tissue, right? They're cuboidal in shape, right? Glandular tissue. So adenohypophysis. Now tell me this. I am telling you all pituitary adenoma. Where do they arise from?
Ad-
Anterior pituitary, right? First thing, guys, tumors of the pituitary. If you consider the anterior and the posterior is very rare, right? Most tumors arise anteriorly, right? And out of most of the benign tumors, adenomas are one of the major ones, right? Adenomas. So adenomas of the pituitary, when I say adenoma of the pituitary, I want you all to think a tumor arising from the anterior pituitary, a tumor arising from the anterior pituitary. Okay, posterior pituitary can have very rarely tumors, guys, but we do not call them adenomas, right? We do not call them adenomas. Now, here's the thing. An anterior, now look at this. Here's what I want you all to understand. So let's say this is my anterior pituitary or my adenohypophysis, right? Let's say there is some tumor starting here, right? Let's say there is some tumor starting here. Let's say, for example, a pituitary adenoma. Now, the posterior pituitary, guys, can be affected by posterior pituitary can be affected by the anterior pituitary adenoma, right? But for a tumor, for a benign tumor, especially if it originates from the posterior, which is very rare, right? We don't call them usually adenomas. Okay, so especially for MBBS purpose, guys, when we say pituitary adenoma, it's anterior pituitary. Okay, right? Okay, right. Now, right? Now, guys, so let me erase this. You all have written down, right? Okay, right. Now, when we look at the relationship, guys, between the hypothalamic and the pituitary, right? Hypothalamus and posterior pituitary, you all know this is a posterior pituitary, this is a neuronal, right? Neuronal connection. Hypothalamus and anterior pituitary, guys, right? The connection between them is a vascular connection. We will see how this happens, right? It's a vascular connection, right? There are some vessels that are going to come into play here. We'll see that. Okay. First of all, we'll look at the hypothalamus posterior pituitary connection, right? Hypothalamus posterior pituitary connection. Okay. Hypothalamus posterior pituitary connection, right? This is mainly a neuronal, and this one, guys. So we have some good news now. Hypothalamus posterior pituitary connection, right? Here, we have already discussed this in depth, right? Except for one part, which we will talk about now, right? Look at this, guys. We talked about these structures in depth with regards to our ADH chapter. So we are not going to go into those details now, right? Okay. Right, you all can draw this, right? So this is the posterior pituitary, yeah? Posterior pituitary is the anterior pituitary, okay? Now, right? What were the main two nuclei that we talked about during the ADH chapter with regards to the posterior pituitary secretion?
Supraoptic and paraventral.
Excellent, right? Excellent. That is all we need to talk about today as well, right? The ADH part of it, we are not going to talk at all, right? The other part we will talk about a little, right? Draw this, guys. Draw a girl, you all can draw a small girl, not a small girl, a woman, right? So this is our paraventricular nucleus. Paraventricular nucleus. Okay, and then somewhere here, you all can draw another one, and you all can draw two eyeballs in the bottom. Draw two eyeballs in the bottom. So this is the supraoptic nucleus, right? Supraoptic, right? Above the eyeballs, right? Okay, above the optic chiasm actually. Okay, supraoptic nucleus. Now, if you all remember ADH chapter, right? Which nucleus? Okay, first of all, these nuclei, they have some neurons that can secrete, they can produce and then secrete hormones. What were these neurons called, guys? What are the types? What is the type of neuron here? Does anyone remember?
Magnocellular. That
Excellent. Magnocellular what? Neurosecretory cells, right? Magnocellular neurosecretory cells, right? Okay. I hope everyone here has come for my ADH class. Huh? If you all didn't, it's okay. You can catch it up in the restream, right? So when we look at the supraoptic nucleus, right? So these magnocellular neurosecretory cells, guys, they can be of two types, right? Magnocellular neurosecretory cells, right? They can be of two types. One type is ADH producing one. What is the other type, guys? What is the other type?
oxytocin.
Excellent. Oxytocin producing magnocellular neurosecretory cells, right? These are the two types of magnocellular cells here. Now, if you look at the supraoptic nucleus, which type of magnocellular neurosecretory cell is the majority?
ADH.
Excellent. Excellent. I hope you all remember we drew a lot of one color. You all can take one color, huh? And ADH producing ones are a majority there from the supraoptic nucleus, right? And compared to that, right, oxytocin producing ones, very few, right? We told the ratio is about 90% to 10%, 90 to 10, right? 90 to 10. Now, what about the paraventricular nucleus, guys? What about the paraventricular nucleus? Opposite of that. Majority is what? Majority is oxytocin producing magnocellular cells. Majority, 90%. 90% oxytocin producing magnocellular cells. Then we have a few, like a very few, 10%, right? Less than 10% even of ADH producing ones, right? Okay, this is very important to understand. So what is happening from the ADH producing ones? They are going to produce ADH, right? This we are not going to talk about, guys, right? We are going to leave that aside. That chapter is gone, right? We've discussed ADH from into the very core of ADH. Huh? Okay, nothing more to discuss there. Look at this. Oxytocin, we did not talk about. We'll talk about this oxytocin a little, right? So these neurons are going to secrete oxytocin. Okay, right. Guys, just to make me happy, just tell me what are the stimuli that were responsible to help the supraoptic nucleus to start producing and releasing ADH? What are the stimuli?
The hypoosmolar state.
The what? I'm sorry, I did not hear you. Guys, someone. What stimuli? What?
Hyposmolar.
Yeah, hypoosmolar blood. Hypoosmolar blood was one. What is another one?
Angiotensin.
Angiotensin 2 was another one. Now tell me this, guys. Hyperosmolar blood. When we have hyperosmolar blood, right? What does that tell you about the blood volume? The volume of blood, is it hypervolemic or hypovolemic? Hypo, because the water is less, right? Water is less. So also hypovolemic blood, right? If there is hypovolemia, what does that tell you about the blood pressure? Low blood pressure, right? So all of these things, and then angiotensin 2, right? All of these, in the major one is this hypoosmolar blood, but all of these, they come as one complete pathway, right? Hypovolemia, low blood pressure, and then angiotensin 2 also, right? All of these can stimulate. There are, guys, one thing important for you all to know, right? We didn't talk about this that day because we were mainly focusing on stimulation of the ADH secretion, right? Stimulation of the ADH secretion. What helps ADH to be secreted more, right? That's what we talked about that day. There, guys, an important thing, right? Alcohol consumption, alcohol or ethanol, right? Ethanol. This one, guys, can inhibit the supraoptic nucleus, right? And the paraventricular nucleus. Alcohol can inhibit the supraoptic nucleus and paraventricular nucleus. So what will happen to ADH? ADH will be low, right? ADH will be low. How will you manifest this? How will you manifest this? Have you all noticed when you all have a drink, what happens? What happens when you go for a party and have small shot? What happens? Yeah, I can see smiling faces. It's okay. I'm not judging anyone, right? Milliliter per milliliter, guys. Let's say you have 25 ml of water, 25 ml of water, and you have a 25 ml of Jack Daniels, Jack Daniels, 25 ml whiskey, okay. Milliliter to milliliter, when you compare the two, alcohol has an the antidiuretic effect of alcohol is gone when you compare milliliter to milliliter. So let's say one night you drink 25 ml of water, right? It's okay. 25 ml is a little, no, but let's say this another night, right? You're in the same physiological status and everything. You have 25 ml of whiskey, right? You will want to go to the washroom more frequently. Why? Antidiuretic hormone effect is less. Okay, effect, because this one can inhibit the supraoptic nucleus and paraventricular nucleus. So you all can put this there for our ADH chapter note, right? We didn't talk about this because we mainly talked about stimulation reaction. We did not talk about inhibitory action, right? Just an extra point, right? Okay, let's move on. Now, guys, we will look at this oxytocin story, right? We'll focus on oxytocin today because ADH we are not going to talk about today, right? Okay. Right. Okay. Look at this. Oxytocin, guys. Oxytocin, right? Mainly coming from the paraventricular nucleus, right? Paraventricular nucleus, and a little bit from the supraoptic nucleus as well. Supraoptic nucleus, paraventricular nucleus, right? Look at this, guys. What is happening? How is this oxytocin working? One of the most important functions of oxytocin is, guys, milk ejection. Milk ejection in a lactating mother, right? Milk ejection. So from the breast to put out milk for the baby or the infant, right? This is one of the main functions of, okay, here is this stop. Oxytocin. Here we are talking about oxytocin, right? Right, this is one of the main functions. Milk ejection. Milk ejection. How does this happen? Look at this, guys. You all can draw this, right? You all can draw, right? We'll draw the breast here, right? Right. Okay, and you can draw a baby here, right? Right. Okay, just draw. Okay, that looks like a cockroach. Just draw a baby, right? I'm not going to draw a baby now, right? Okay, draw a baby there, right? Okay, right? And you all can draw. Let me put this topic a little above. I need this space. Milk ejection, right? Right? Look at this here, guys. Specifically draw this areola area. You all know, right? You all know this anatomy, no? Right? This is the breast, right? In the middle here is the nipple, right? And then here is the areola, right? Areola, right? It's important. The structures there are important, right? And here you all can draw the hypothalamus again if you all want. Right? Right? Okay. Look at this, guys. What is happening here? First of all, guys, right? First of all, what is happening is this baby, right? This baby, guys, there is something called a suckling reflex in the baby, right? Suckling reflex, right? What is this suckling reflex, guys? It includes several. Give me a second, guys. Right. Okay, you all can see me, right? Right. Okay. It includes several different processes, right? First one, latching, right? We call this latching, right? Latching or grasping, right? Latching or grasping the nipple with the mouth, right? Latching or grasping the nipple with the mouth, right? That's the first thing. The second thing, guys, the baby should actually have the capability for the suckling, right? The sucking ability, right? Sucking ability also should be there, right? And on top of that, baby should also have a well developed swallowing ability, right? If all of these three are working well, guys, the baby's suckling reflex is good, right? The baby's suckling reflex is good. Okay, the baby's suckling reflex is good. Now what happens, guys? The baby, right, will be suckling at the breast, right? At the breast. What is happening here is, guys, in this areola area, right? In this areola area, there it is highly dense. It is densely packed with certain sensory neurons, right? There are a lot of densely packed with sensory neurons, right? Sensory neurons. These are, guys, these are somatic touch sensory neurons, right? Write this down. Huh? Somatic touch sensory neurons. Somatic touch sensory. They are sensitive to touch, right? Touch sensory neurons, right? Somatic touch sensory neurons. What happens, guys, as the baby is suckling, right? As the baby is latching on and suckling on the breast, what is happening? These somatic touch sensory neurons get stimulated and they send a signal, right? It goes to the spinal cord, right? You all can draw a section of the spinal cord here, right? Something like this, right? Right? It will come somewhere here, right? To come here somewhere here, right? And then there are a few pathways, guys. We don't need to talk about which pathways exactly, right? You all can just put a dotted line upwards, right? It is going up. It is going. These are ascending fibers, touch sensory fibers. They are ascending upwards, right? They go all the way to the medulla, guys. Okay, they go all the way to the medulla. Right, they go all the way to the medulla, right, to certain areas of the medulla, right, and from there they directly go to this paraventricular nucleus and the supraoptic nucleus. Okay, right, okay, right, somatic touch sensory neurons, right. Now let me make this a little bit shorter. I don't have space otherwise. This is the posterior, anterior, right? So now what is happening as the baby is suckling on, right? We are getting signals to the paraventricular nucleus and the supraoptic nucleus, right? From there, guys, what are they? What are these signals? These are stimulatory signals. These are stimulatory signals, right? What are they going to specifically stimulate? The oxytocin producing magnocellular cells, right? They're going to specifically stimulate the oxytocin producing magnocellular neurosecretory cells. And what are those cells going to do? They are going to, first of all, guys, those cells, right? A majority coming from the paraventricular nucleus, right? A majority coming from the paraventricular nucleus, a few coming from the supraoptic nucleus as well. That's why I drew only 2, right? And right, they will start production of oxytocin in their cell body, and whatever they have already produced, they will start passing down their axon. These are axonal bundles, guys. Axons, huh? These are axonal bundles, right? Axonal bundles. They will start bringing them down here into small vesicles, and eventually, what will they do? Here we have a lot of vessels, right? They will release this oxytocin. They will release this oxytocin here, right? Oxytocin, right? Oxytocin. Now look at this, guys. When the oxytocin comes here, now it is going to go via the blood and reach the breast, right? The oxytocin is now going to come and reach the breast. What happens in the breast? That's what we are going to look at next, right? Y'all can keep drawing. Huh? I'm just erasing because I don't have enough space, right? What happens next, guys? Oxytocin. First of all, look at this, guys. Let's just draw a breast tissue for y'all to get the understanding, right? This is the pectoralis major, right? Pectoralis major. Then you have behind that pectoralis minor, right? Pectoralis minor, and the breast tissue is there, right? Right, something like this, right? And here behind, guys, behind we have the ribs, huh? These are the ribs, right? These are the ribs. Okay. Now, during pregnancy, guys, we are not going to go into depth. Huh? These are, guys, these are for GNOBs. You have to study these for GNOBs, for physiology, right? They are not going to go into depth, but to give you all some basic ideas, right? During pregnancy, guys, during pregnancy, the breast undergoes some changes, right? One of the most important changes, right, is the ability to produce and secrete milk, right? How this happens, we are going to look at now, right? What happens, guys? Now you all know in the breast tissue, right? Here, right? There are some small tube-like structures, guys. There are some from the nipple, right? At the nipple, there are some small tube-like structures. From these tube-like structures, only milk is ejected out, right? These tube-like structures, guys, when you look at inside the breast, they look like this, right? They divide like a tree, guys. It's basically like, so it's something similar to your lung, guys. It's something similar to the structure in your lung, huh? Similar. They divide and divide and divide and divide. And at the end, guys, at the end of all of those, right, there are some structures like this, right? Like we call these lobules, guys. We call these lobules. What happens during pregnancy, guys? Now here, this first lobule that I drew is a lobule that all females have, right? All females, whether they are pregnant or not, right? After their breast has developed during puberty, they will have these lobules. What happens during pregnancy, guys? These lobules, they hypertrophy. So they become much larger, right? Lobules hypertrophy during pregnancy. So you all can draw now, since we are talking about pregnancy and oxytocin related to breast milk secretion, right? Ejection, you all can draw some large lobules, huh? Large lobules, right? Large lobules. Okay. Here, guys, these are called lobules. These tubes, guys, these we call them the ducts, right? We call them the ducts. Okay. Lobules and the ducts, right? There are further subdivisions, guys, acini. We are not going to talk about all of those, right? Those are much more specific for obstetrics, right? Now, so then other structures, guys, we are not going to talk about. You all know there are some structures called Cooper's ligaments, right? That connect with the connective tissue and the stroma of the breast, right? And it connects to the pectoralis muscles, right? And then there is fat tissue. There is fatty tissue. There is a lot of fatty tissue actually, right? We're not going to talk about all of that. What is important is here, guys. We are going to take a look at this. What is happening here? We'll take a small piece here, right? This small piece here, right? And we'll see what is happening, right? Here, guys, when you, especially we are looking at these ducts, huh? The lobules will look at especially in prolactin. In oxytocin, we are considered with the duct. Now this duct is guys something like a tube. It's like a tube like this, right? So if you take a cross section, it's going to look like a circle like this, right? It's going to look something like this, right? Here guys, the outermost layer, right? The outermost layer guys, this is made up of a muscular cell, right? Okay. They are arranged like this. The outermost layer, these are guys, we call this myoepithelial cell. Myoepithelial cells of the ducts, right? Myoepithelial cells of the ducts, right? Okay, myoepithelial cells. Then towards more centrally guys is where we find this other cell type. It's a different cell type, right? This one mainly we are going to talk about in prolactin, right? Okay. These are guys alveolar cells. These are alveolar cells. Alveolar cells. Now, so this the innermost area is the lumen. Is the lumen of the duct, right? It is the lumen of the duct, right? Now, where is milk going to be passed? Obviously through the lumen, right? Obviously through the lumen. Tell me guys, out of these two cell types, who do you think produces the milk? Who do you think produces the milk?
Alveoli.
Alveolar cell. Alveolar cell. What is this myoepithelial cell doing here, right? That is the part we need to talk about with oxytocin. These myoepithelial cells, guys, they have receptors for oxytocin. They have receptors for oxytocin, right? Receptors for oxytocin. So what happens? This oxytocin that now came into the circulation, it reaches the breast, it reaches the lobules and the ducts, right? And it can bind onto these receptors, right? Oxytocin receptors. What happens? What happens? Here's what happens, guys. It makes these myoepithelial cells contract, right? It makes myoepithelial because these are myocytes. These are a type of muscular cells, right? So they can contract. So these things contract. What happens? What happens? The lumen, guys, becomes very small. The lumen becomes very small because these muscles, when they contract, right? They contract towards the center. They contract towards the center. So they make the lumen very small. So what is happening if you look at this tubular structure now, right? What will you see? A contracted area like this, right? It is contracting this duct. It is contracting this duct. So what is happening, guys? In this way, milk is being pushed forward, right? Milk is being pushed forward, right? This is how milk is. This is something somewhat similar to our gastrointestinal tract peristalsis, but not exactly, right? In peristalsis, if you all remember, those who came for the GI module, we had two different types of muscles working there, right? A longitudinal and a circular. This is something similar to the circular muscle there, right? But that's it, no longitudinal. Okay. So what is happening? It is going to push the milk forward, right? This is going to, so all the way from the lobule, guys, right? All the way from the lobule, milk will be brought until it can be ejected out, right? This is milk ejection, right? So that way the baby is going to get the milk. Okay. Now, here's what is important to understand. For when breastfeeding, right? First thing, the maternal pathway should be working properly, right? It has to work properly in order for this ejection to happen. And later we will talk about prolactin. Prolactin also plays a major role, right? Apart from that, guys, the baby's suckling reflex also should be working properly. If not, even if the maternal pathway is working well, the baby cannot take the milk. Okay, right? Because with the suckling, it helps this ejection process. If the baby is not suckling at the breast, ejection will not happen. Okay, they work hand in hand, right? So that is very important, right? Especially first time mothers, guys, they have a lot of problems with this because first, one thing is difficult to get, they are not used to feeding the baby, right? They have various problems. You always, when you go for the obs wards, right? I also come across mothers just coming into clinic, no disease, nothing. just don't know how to feed the baby. Okay, so have to teach all of those things, right? Very important. Baby suckling reflex also very important. Everyone clear about this, right? This is the main function of oxytocin, milk ejection, right? Milk ejection, right? The second, another important function again in females, guys, right, is during parturition or during the labor process, during childbirth. Parturition. Parturition is another word for labor. Huh? During parturition, guys, what happens, right? You all know. So this is, if this is the uterus, right? These are the uterine muscles, right? And the baby is here, right? Baby is here, head down, now already descent, effacement, everything done, right? He just has to go down, right? Uterine muscles, guys, they have to contract. Do you all know the direction of contraction, guys? Uterine muscles, it's very interesting, right? How they contract is towards the baby and downwards, towards the baby and downwards. This is how uterine muscles contract, guys. Towards the baby and downwards, towards the baby and down. What does that help do? Just imagine, right? If this is the stomach, towards and down, right? Helping to push the baby out, right? What if it's not going downwards? What if it's only pushing towards the baby?
Baby dies.
Yeah, then there is distress, guys. There's something called, there's a condition. There's something called fetal distress, right? You have to look at the oxygen readings and everything. If that is the case, it might be converted to an emergency cesarean section to take the baby out cesarean, right? Those are obstetrics, right? Now, during parturition, what happens, guys? Even these uterine smooth muscles also have what? Oxytocin receptors, oxytocin receptors, right? Oxytocin receptors. So what happens? Oxytocin can come and bind, right? And then help with, what does it do? It increases the force of contractions, and it also increases the frequency of contractions, right? Frequency of contractions, right? Force and frequency, both, huh? Force and frequency, both, right? Okay. Now, look at this, guys. Have you all heard, if you all have been to your GNOBS rounds, some mothers, they complained, doctor, I have been here now 20 hours, right? This fellow is not coming out. What to do? Do something, right? Take him out, take her out, right? Sometimes 22 hours, 23 hours, right? In that cases, have you heard your senior doctors, they will make the decision.
Oxytocin.
Yeah, right. In Sinhala, they will say, me sinto tikak gahala ganna. Right? Okay. So there, guys, we use something called syntocinon. Let me look at the spellings. Yeah, SYN. Syntocinon. Right? Syntocinon. This is, guys, a synthetic oxytocin. Right? So what we do, right? We give this one, guys, we give a 1 ml injection. 1 ml injection you can give to help the contraction and the labor process to stimulate, right? Especially when it is delayed for prolonged periods of time. Okay, right? Okay, here, guys, another important thing, another interesting thing rather. With regards to this milk ejection, I forgot to mention this. Here, now we talked about the baby suckling reflex that is going to help with the entire process, right? It will start giving the signals through the somatic touch sensory neurons and all that will happen. There are some other stimuli here, guys, that can help with this. Some other stimuli. One thing is, guys, one very important thing, the sight of, or the sound of the crying infant, right? Sight or sound of a crying infant, right? There are some complex neuronal pathways, guys. Now, this doesn't happen in the father, no? Right? Father, if the baby is crying, he might try to get in the car and go somewhere, right? Okay, to escape the situation. But in the mother, what happens, right? That sight and sound, guys, there are some complex neuronal pathways that also can stimulate this paraventricular nucleus mainly, and the supraoptic as well, right? This happens, guys, in lactating women, not in all women, right? Not in all women, in lactating women. Okay. So you must have heard some mothers, they say, right, when the baby is crying, they can feel their t-shirts or whatever they are wearing, it's getting wet. Why? They are automatically, there is some ejection, milk ejection, right? Just that crying and sight and sound of the crying infant. Okay, right. Then, guys, apart from all of this, in males, now we also have oxytocin. No, we also have some oxytocin. Males also have some oxytocin. What does it do? What does it do? What do you all think it does? In males, guys, you can write somewhere. I'm just going to write it here. I don't have enough space. In males, right? What it does is, guys, it helps with ejaculation. Ejaculation. You all might have heard oxytocin, right, is called what? The love hormone, right? Have you all heard? It's also called the love hormone sometimes. Trivial things, but it's okay. If you all can remember something, it's okay. They say, according to research, guys, there are some evidence that they say when you hug a person, oxytocin increases a little, right? When you have eye-to-eye contact with someone, it can increase a little, right? There are various things, right? We don't need all of that. But in males, what happens? The vas deferens, guys, vas deferens of males also has some smooth muscles around it. It is also a tubular structure with some smooth muscles around it, right? Smooth muscles around it. So what will happen? Again, same thing. They also have oxytocin receptors. Oxytocin receptors. So what will happen? Contract, push the seminal fluid out. Push the seminal fluid out. Okay? Okay. Now, so those are the stimulating factors. Those are the stimulating factors for oxytocin. One thing, guys, we have to know, inhibiting factors, right? Inhibiting factors of oxytocin. Factors that, you all can put another topic, right? Factors that inhibit oxytocin, right? Here, guys, one very important one, emotional stress, right? Or depression. Emotional stress or depression. Okay, emotional stress or depression, right? What can they do? They can inhibit this paraventricular nucleus, right? What happens is, guys, now you all might have heard something called postpartum depression. Have you all heard? Mothers, after they give birth, right, they go into some not everyone, they can go into a depressed state, right? Now what does this do, right? When the mother goes into depression, her milk ejection also reduces, right? And what happens? The baby doesn't get milk. Baby starts crying. This goes on like a cycle, guys. What is happening? Mother is depressed. Oh, I'm not going to be a good mother. I can't. Then what is happening? Milk is not coming. I can't feed my baby, right? I'm going to kill this, guys. These are very, very important for you all. This can, in rare occasions, lead to postpartum psychosis, right? Postpartum psychosis, because this is like a positive cycle, guys. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse, right? And the baby is also crying, right? And so that, in that kind of situation, this should be diagnosed, and psychiatric help also should be involved. And then hormonal therapy is also there, right? We have to combine both and treat the mother, right? We are not going to talk about all of that now, right? Emotional stress and depression, very important. Another one is, guys, what we talked about this before. So ethanol or alcohol. Ethanol or alcohol. Pregnant mothers. You all have any friends? So I have some friends, right? They're saying, I'm waiting for this pregnancy to be over to start drinking. I'm like, dude, right? No alcohol, right? Until you stop breastfeeding the infant. Okay, right? One thing, alcohol can directly go with the breast milk to the infant, right? And then cause mental development will be slowed down, right? Apart from that, right, it can also make other things very difficult. Breastfeeding is one of them, right? Alcohol, guys, when if a breastfeeding mother takes up to 3 to 4 hours after taking the alcohol, it can be there. And if she breastfeeds, even if the person is sober, right, they are not drunk, doesn't matter, it will still go to the baby, right? So during breastfeeding also, no alcohol. Okay, important, right? Yeah, I see some smiling faces, right? For the future, for your future reference, huh? Right? Okay, guys, let's take a 15-minute break and come back. We are done with the hypothalamus and posterior pituitary, right? We only need to talk about oxytocin and ADH. ADH we are already done. So let's take a 15-minute break. We'll come and talk about the anterior pituitary. Okay, right. Right. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Is everyone back? Shall we start, guys? Turn your cameras on. All right. Okay. So all clear about the posterior pituitary, right? And its connection with the hypothalamus and how it works. Right? Now we will go to the anterior pituitary. Look at this. So hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. And anterior pituitary. Right? Hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. Right? This is what sort of a connection, guys? We said this is a vascular connection. It is a vascular connection. Okay, we will see what we mean by this vascular connection. First thing, right? Draw a small diagram, guys. No need to draw too big, right? We'll draw the big diagram in a little bit, right? So this is here, right? Something like this, right? Guys, draw this median eminence clearly. That is important now. Now we need to take a good look at that, right? Okay. Here's what happens, right? Right? Here, guys, what do we mean by this vascular connection, right? There are some vessels, some arteries. They enter this median eminence. They enter the median eminence, guys, right? One of the main one is called superior hypothalamic artery. No, name's not very necessary, but if you all want, right? Superior hypothalamic artery, right? These vessels, guys, they enter the median eminence, right? And then they break up into a capillary network. They break up into a capillary network. Okay, they break up into a capillary network like this, right? And then the capillary network joins back together to form some major vessels, right? Sometimes there is one major vessel, sometimes there is two. It's okay, it's one or two, right? We'll draw one, and it comes all the way down to the anterior pituitary. Comes all the way down to the anterior pituitary. So what happened? Superior hypothalamic artery, it has entered the median eminence. There it broke down into a capillary system. Then again, it converted into a vessel, right? And it came here to the anterior pituitary, where it again breaks down into a second capillary system. It again breaks down into a second capillary system before finally leaving the anterior pituitary, right? Okay. Okay, so blood comes in this way, right? And goes through this, right? First the median eminence, pituitary stalk, and then enters the anterior pituitary, and then goes out back into the systemic circulation, right? Now, look here, guys. We have one vessel here. We have one vessel here, one major vessel here, right? And this vessel is between two capillary systems. Between two capillary systems. What do we usually call, especially in our GI tract, when there are two capillary systems and a vessel connecting them?
Portal.
Yes, we call this, guys, a portal vein. We call this a portal vein. And what portal vein specifically? Hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vein, right? Hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vein. So understandable now? This is the hypothalamus, this is the hypophysis. Pituitary gland is also called hypophysis. So hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vein, right? Okay, so this is how signals from the hypothalamus are brought to the anterior pituitary via this portal vein. Now, if you all remember posterior pituitary, how was it brought? We had some magnocellular neurons, and those neurons, their axons came all the way to the posterior pituitary, right? They were from a neuronal system. But anterior pituitary, it's a vascular system. It's a vessel, right? Whatever signals are here, we'll see. Those are going to come into this capillary, come down this hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vein, and come all the way to the anterior pituitary, right? This is how the anterior pituitary gets its signals, right? Now, here guys, if we look at, we'll enlarge this anterior pituitary a little bit, right? We'll enlarge this a little bit, right? If we look here, guys, it will be something like this, right? The anterior pituitary. Now we are looking only at the anterior pituitary, right? And we have this second capillary system, right? Like this. You all can draw, right? Some sort of a capillary system, right? And it leaves, it exits the. This is a rough structure. This is just a capillary system. You all can draw it nicely, right? What I want to show you all here, guys, here. So this second capillary system is here, right? In the anterior pituitary, guys, surrounding this capillary system, we have a large number of cells, right? We have a large number of cells, right? These cells, guys, we call them anterior pituitary cells, right? Nothing complex, no? Cells in the anterior pituitary, they're surrounding this capillary network. We call them anterior pituitary cells. Anterior pituitary cells, guys, right? There are several, guys, give me a second. Right. Okay, right? So the anterior pituitary cells, what happens, right? Okay, guys, okay, here, right? Okay, sorry, my bad. Superior hypophyseal artery, huh? Hypophyseal artery, right? Superior hypophyseal artery, okay, right? Superior hypophyseal artery, right? Now, look at this. What happens, right? These anterior pituitary cells, guys, it's mainly of two types. Write this down, right? Mainly of two types. One is called chromophilic, right? The other one is chromophobic. What do we mean by this chromo word, guys? Color, right? Stain or color, right? So when we say chromophilic, when we stain and look under the microscope, guys, some of these cells, they like to take up stains, right? They like to take up stains. They are chromophilic. Some of them don't like, chromophobic, right? Chromophobic, right? So these chromophobic cells, guys, they just appear like this, right? No stain, right? They don't take up any stain. The chromophilic ones, guys, they take up stain, and there are two types of that, right? This is very important to understand. The histology is important to understand. Then it's easy to understand the physiology. One thing, guys, one type of cells, it stains red, right? A pink or a red, right? A pink or a red. Another type of cells, again, chromophilic cells, they stain blue. They stain a purple or a blue, right? These reddish stain ones, guys, these are called acidophilic cells. Acidophils, right? Acidophilic cells. Okay, acidophilic cells. The other type is called basophilic cells. Basophilic cells. This acidophilic, guys, sometimes we call it alpha, right? We can also call them alpha, and basophilic, sometimes we call it beta, right? It's easier to remember acidophilic and basophilic, right? Otherwise, don't mix up between alpha and beta and all of this, right? Okay. So there are mainly three different types of cells: acidophilic, basophilic, and things that don't take up stain at all, which are called chromophobic. Okay, chromophobic. All these three cell types are here. Okay, all these three cell types are here, right? Okay, now what is important about these cells? In our anterior pituitary, guys, right? We said the signals will come into this capillary system, then be brought down along this portal vein, and it will come to the anterior pituitary, and the signals will be given to these cells: acidophilic cells, basophilic cells, the chromophobic cells. They receive those signals. They have receptors for those signals. We will see, right? We will see how they work, right? We don't consider this chromophobic, guys. They have very minimal action. This chromophobic, especially with regards to endocrinology, their function is very minimal. They have some other functions to do in the pituitary, right? We are not going to talk some connective tissue functions. We are not going to talk about this. Our main focus, we are going to talk about these acidophils and basophils, right? Acidophils and basophils, how they work, how they do their function. When this signal comes, acidophils and basophils, they get either stimulated or inhibited, we will see, right? And they are the ones who release some important hormones, Now, they produce and release some important hormones, okay? They produce the hormone with inside and then release it out into the blood. What is the difference? What is the importance here? Compare this with posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary gland, did it have a production function of hormones?
No.
No, it only had a secretory function. The production happened in the hypothalamus, and those enzymes were brought all the way to the posterior pituitary through these axons, and then they just released it. They just released it into the blood. They did not have a production function, right? Anterior pituitary is different, guys. Anterior pituitary cells, when they get the signal, they produce some hormones and they release those hormones. Okay, that's the important difference I want you all to understand at this point. Okay, clear up to this? All good? Give me a thumbs up. Right? Okay, excellent. Right, now y'all can keep drawing. I'm going to erase it because I need space. Right, now look at this. Now we'll go a little bit in depth into these structures. Take a full page, guys. Right, take a full page and we will draw it like this. We'll draw the hypothalamus, right? Draw the hypothalamus and draw the pituitary stalk. Draw it very fat because we want this stalk region, right? This is the pituitary stalk, right? And then here is the anterior pituitary. Draw the anterior pituitary big. Posterior one, we don't really need it. You can draw it small, right? Okay, right? Okay, right? Draw it like this. Looks a bit weird, but it's okay, just to get the structure. Right? Okay, clear? Look at this, guys. First of all, we will look at these cell types that are here. We talked about acidophils and basophils. These are the main things what we are going to look at. Draw these first. Okay, draw it exactly like I'm drawing that. Draw a red one, right? And another red one. So, okay. It is too big. A little bit small. Right. Another one here. Right. And draw a blue one somewhere here. The blue one here. Right, and draw another blue one here. Right. Draw these 5 cells, guys. Draw it like this, 2 acidophilic, First the acidophilic, then basophilic. It makes the diagram a little bit more clearer. That's why there is no order like this, in the actual pituitary gland. I'm just drawing it in order so that our diagram will be a little less messy. Basically, we have drawn 2 acidophilic cells and 3 basophilic cells. 3 basophilic cells. Okay. Right. Okay. We'll name these guys. We'll name and we'll see what these things produce. After that, we will see how the stimuli come, right? This first acidophilic cell, we will call it a somatotrope. 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 Right? Somatotrope. Right? Then this second one, the basophilic cell, we'll call it a gonadotrope. Gonadotrope. We have a somatotrope and a gonadotrope, right? Third one, this acidophilic one, third acidophilic one, we call it a lactotrope. Lactotrope, right? Lactotrope. Then we have, you all have already talked about this in detail, thyrotrope, right? Thyrotrope, you all have already discussed in detail. And even the next one, right? Corticotrope. Corticotrope. This also you all have talked about, right? When you all did the Cushing's lessons, right? The physiology parts of those chapters, right? Okay. So we have somatotrope, gonadotrope, lactotrope, thyrotrope, and corticotrope. These are the main types of chromophilic cells in our anterior pituitary. Okay. We'll see what they are doing. We'll see what they are doing. But you all can draw a blood vessel somewhere here. Just draw a blood vessel somewhere here. Yeah, like that. Okay. Right. Look at this, guys. Somatotrope. Somatotrope. What does he do? Somatotrope, guys, he produces and secretes growth hormone, right? He produces and secretes growth hormone. Somatotrope. Somatotrope, right? Growth hormone. Okay. Gonadotrope. Can someone tell me? Gonadotrope secretes what?
Essentially.
Excellent. FSH, LH. FSH, LH. Okay. FSH, LH. Lactotrope. Anyone knows? Just from the name? Excellent. Prolactin. Prolactin. PRL, right? Prolactin. Prolactin. Okay. Prolactin. Thyrotrope, you all already know. Tell me. Thyrotrope. What?
TSH.
Excellent. TSH. TSH. Right? Corticotrope.
ACT.
Yeah, corticotrope, guys. There is a classification here. We will do it now itself, right? Corticotrope, guys. First, it produces something called, have you all heard? Pro-opio melanocortin, right? POMC. Pro-opio melanocortin, right? Pro-opio melanocortin, right? Cortin. Okay, pro-opio melanocortin. Right now, pro-opio melanocortin is what then is converted one to ACTH, right? ACTH, we get ACTH. What is the other one? We get something called beta lipoprotein, guys. Beta lipoprotein, right? Beta lipoprotein. Okay, right? Right? Right. Look at this, guys. We'll just in a very few words, just to explain. Growth hormone. Growth hormone. We will talk about growth hormone day after tomorrow. We are going into full depth of growth hormone. Huh? So now just for you all to know, what does it do? Skeletal and muscle tissue growth. Skeletal plus muscle tissue growth. You all can just write it here, right? Muscle tissue growth, right? Okay, skeletal and muscle tissue growth. Another thing is, guys, growth hormone, right, can also have some metabolic actions. Metabolic actions. Metabolic actions. We will talk about all of these day after tomorrow. Don't worry, in depth. Huh? Some metabolic actions are also there. Apart from this, guys, growth hormone can go to the liver, right? Growth hormone can go to the liver and stimulate the production. You all can draw a liver and stimulate the production of something called insulin-like growth factor 1. Just keep it written down. Don't worry, I will be teaching this to you all day after tomorrow. Okay? Insulin-like growth factor 1. We will see what happens. Right? FSH-LH. What do they do? Everyone knows, no? Right? In males, right? You all can write this down as homework. Huh? In males, what happens? Right? Spermatogenesis, testosterone, right? All of that. In females, what happens? Oogenesis, ovulation, estrogen production, right? Progesterone, all of these, right? FSH-LH, you all can write it down as homework. Lactotrope, prolactin. Prolactin is important for what, guys? One, milk production, right? Milk production. Milk production. We will look at this, milk production. The other thing is, guys, breast tissue development. Breast tissue development. Right? breast tissue development. Okay. Now, oxytocin helps what? Milk ejection. Milk ejection, right? Prolactin, milk production, right? Okay. Thyrotrope, TSH. You all know, no, guys, we are not going to talk about this, right? You're going to do T4 and T3, right? And all their functions, you all know, right? In depth, we have discussed, right? ACTH. ACTH, guys, what does it do, right? It goes to one thing, it can go to the adrenal gland, right? What can it do at the adrenal gland? ACTH. What can it do at the adrenal gland?
Stimulate the cortex.
Okay, to do what? To, why does it stimulate? What happens after that?
To release the androgens.
Yeah, so
cortisol.
yeah, if you all remember, zona reticularis, androgens, right? Then zona fasciculata. What does it do there? What does it do there? What does it produce?
Cortisol.
Glucocorticoids, right? So you all can write those down, guys. Those have already been done, those chapters. Apart from that, guys, so those things you all can write in the adrenal gland, what happens. Apart from that, ACTH can also be converted into this alpha MSH, right? Melanocyte stimulating hormone. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, right? This one, guys, this one is involved mainly with inflammation, right? Inflammation, okay? Mainly with inflammation. Okay, and immune function. You all can write inflammation and immune function. Okay. Oh, it's covering the. Sorry about that. Yeah. Inflammation and immune function. Huh? Right? Inflammation and immune function. Okay, that's what I wrote there. Okay. Then beta lipoprotein, guys, it can be broken down into beta MSH, right? We are not going to talk about this, right? There is something called beta MSH. Okay. Right, this beta MSH function, guys, up to date, it's still a bit debatable, right? We actually don't know the proper function of beta MSH in our body. Okay, so if anyone wants to do some research, there's a good topic for you, right? Then there's another thing, beta endorphins, right? Not necessary, right? Let's look at this, guys. Now we know what these things produce. What these things produce in general, we know, right? How are they stimulated to produce and release this? This is what we have to look at now. What gives the signal for these to produce? Now, somatotrope to produce growth hormone, gonadotrope to produce FSH. How does it happen? Let's look at this. Draw these nuclei, guys. We'll draw some nuclei, right, in the hypothalamus. First, draw this one. This one everyone knows. We've already talked about our female nucleus. I should not call it that, right? Okay, this is just a nucleus. I'm just drawing it as a girl, right? Then guys, draw these in these shapes that I'm drawing. Okay, there's a reason I'm drawing them like this. Here, guys, so I'm drawing this fellow, right? This nucleus, and these are two breasts. These are two breasts. I will tell you all why I'm drawing it like that, right? And two hands, and here you can put some reproductive organ there, right? Anything you want, right? Right, just for you all to remember, okay? Right, any sort of reproductive organ, right? Then the next one. Right, this is the next one, right? And then the final. Right. Right, okay. Yeah. Right. Right. Look at this, guys. This one everyone knows. What's the name of this? What's the name of this? Paraventricular nucleus. Paraventricular nucleus, everyone knows, right? This guy, right? This one is called arcuate, guys. Arcuate nucleus. Arcuate nucleus, right? Now, what are these nuclei? These are just collections of cell bodies, collection of neuronal cell bodies, right? We'll see how they work. Arcuate nucleus. What is this? VM. VM, guys. This is ventromedial. Ventromedial nucleus. Ventromedial nucleus. Okay. Ventromedial. That's why we put a VM, right? This guy is called periventricular. Peri. Now, note this, peri, this guy, this was para. This is peri, right? Periventricular. Periventricular nucleus, right? Periventricular nucleus. Okay. Right. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. Guys, for this ventromedial also draw two hands. These are two hands, right? Two hands. Okay. Hands. Arcuate and ventromedial both have two hands. Okay. Right. Okay. Look at this, guys. Let's look at this. Let's look at what these fellows are doing. Right. First of all, okay, let's look at the hands first. Right. Right. Guys, keep two colors. Right. Keep two colors. Right. I will tell you all why. Right. The arcuate and the ventromedial nucleus, guys. Both of them. Now, since they both have hands, both of them from these hands, they are capable of producing, right? GHRH. What is this? Growth hormone releasing hormone, right? Growth hormone releasing hormone, right? Both the arcuate and the ventromedial nucleus can produce growth hormone releasing hormone, right? What happens now? Just by the name, tell me, growth hormone releasing hormone should come and stimulate which of these cells? Which one?
Somatotroph.
Somatotroph. It should come and stimulate the somatotroph. So just like that, it comes, and here there is a receptor, guys. Here there is a receptor. It will bind to that, and it will stimulate. Now this coming here, right? We said it's going to come all the way here. How is it coming? How is it coming all the way here?
Portal.
Yeah, through the, don't forget, we are now going to draw the vein here, through the hypophyseal portal vein. These things will come, right? This growth hormone releasing hormone will come through the hypophyseal portal vein, stimulate. You all can put a plus sign here, plus sign. All these stimulatory actions, guys, draw it with one color. That's why I'm going to use green for all the stimulatory actions. Okay, right? Keep one color for that, right? Then, guys, now look at this. I told you all to draw a small reproductive organ here from the arcuate nucleus, right? Arcuate nucleus can also produce, guys, another one, GnRH. GnRH. What is this? Gonadotropin releasing hormone, right? Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Which one should it come and stimulate? Which one should it come and stimulate? Gonadotropin. It's going to come all the way here, stimulate this. So when it comes and stimulates, what is happening? FSH and LH increase, right? FSH and LH increase. Okay, clear? Yes, I'm going to erase this a little because I need that space, right? Okay. The posterior pituitary looks a little abnormal. Don't draw it like that. I'm just drawing it because I don't have space, right? Look at this, right? Then, the next thing, guys. Give me a second. Right. This one, right? Here, guys. Important thing I want to show. This, we drew two breasts. The arcuate nucleus had two breasts. I want you all to put two crosses on them, right? I want you all to put two crosses on the breast. Why? Look at this. This produces arcuate nucleus. Now use the other color, the second color. He is able to produce, guys, this special hormone, right? This is called prolactin inhibiting factor, right? PLIF, prolactin inhibiting factor. Now, up to now, we talked about growth hormone releasing hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone. This guy is prolactin inhibiting. So what is he going to come and do? He is going to come here, guys, and inhibit. This is an inhibitory signal. That's why I'm drawing a black line, right? Inhibit the lactotroph. is going to come and inhibit the lactotrope. Now tell me this. If prolactin comes and inhibit, prolactin inhibitory factor comes and inhibit the lactotrope, what is happening to serum prolactin?
Goes down.
Goes down. Obvious, no? If the lactotrope is inhibited, serum prolactin drops. Serum prolactin drops. Okay, right. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Right? Then the next one. Here, guys, this periventricular fellow, what is he doing? He also produces an inhibitory one. What is this, guys? Growth hormone inhibiting hormone. Growth hormone inhibiting hormone. Right? This one does what? Comes here to the somatotrope and gives an inhibitory signal to the somatotrope. Right? Inhibitory signal to the somatotrope. So what is happening? Growth hormone will reduce. Growth hormone will reduce. Now, here are the important names I want you all to know. Growth hormone inhibiting hormone, the other name for it is somatostatin. Somatostatin, right? Prolactin inhibiting factor, what is the other name for it? Dopamine. Dopamine, right? Dopamine. Okay, very important, huh? Dopamine, guys, you all must have heard, right? It has a number of functions in our nervous system, right? It has stimulatory effects, it has inhibitory effects, right? It is involved with the reward pathway, right? Here, dopamine is playing an inhibitory role. It inhibits the lactotrope, prolactin goes down. Okay, right? Clear? Right. Now look at this. Next one. This one, guys, we've already discussed, right? Nothing much to say here. What is one? TRH, right? Thyrotropin releasing hormone. What will it do? Come here, stimulate the thyrotrope. Stimulate the thyrotrope. Oh, okay. Then what is another one? This one produced corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH. CRH, right? Corticotropin releasing hormone. What does it come and do? Stimulates the corticotrope, right? Stimulates the corticotrope, right? Stimulates the corticotrope. Now, students who came to my lecture on thyroid disease, answer this. Do you all remember any relationship between the thyroid axis and the prolactin? Anything? Anything regarding the thyroid hormones?
Prolactin will reduce the thyroid.
Sorry?
Prolactinemia like reduces the thyroid, hypothyroidism will occur.
Can you tell it to me in the relationship of thyroid hormone to prolactin? What happens?
When thyroid hormone increases, prolactin reduces.
Excellent. Do you all remember that relationship? We said when T3 and T4, if it is high, prolactin is low. Prolactin is low. And the opposite, if T3, T4 is low, what is happening? Prolactin is high. It is a negative effect there, right? They have an inhibitory effect for each other. Now look at this, guys. The actual thing, we didn't go into depth that day because that was not our main chapter that day. What is actually happening is, guys, this, right? We said if T3 and T4 is low, we said prolactin is going to be high. We are going to get hyperprolactinemia. This is what we said. What is actually happening is, guys, this. Tell me this. If T3 and T4 is low, can you all tell me what is happening to TRH based on the negative feedback cycling? If T3 and T4 low, what happens to TRH?
Increase.
TRH increases. TRH increases, right? This TRH, guys, it actually has a stimulatory effect on the lactotrope. Now, what did we draw here? TRH. TRH comes down, it stimulates the thyrotrope. It also has a stimulatory effect on lactotropes. Okay, this is why we say prolactin increases here. Okay, this is why we say prolactin increases here. Okay, right? Okay, now look at this, guys. Right? Right. There are two important points here, right? Listen carefully, right? First thing what I want you all to know, guys, look at these acidophilic cells, the red ones, right? The red ones. our somatotrope and our lactotrope. Somatotrope and the lactotrope, right? You all can put a side note somewhere. Why are they acidophilic in nature? Why are they both acidophilic in nature is, guys, they both originate from the same cell, right? Their cell lineage is one cell, right? From there, they develop into these two types of cells. One develops into a somatotrope, one develops into a lactotrope, right? Somatotrope, lactotrope, right? This precursor cell, guys, this precursor cell here, this is called the mammosomatotrope, right? This is called mammosomatotrope, right? Mammosomatotrope. They both evolve from this mammosomatotrope. Okay. What is important here? What do I want you all to know? Now the somatotrope produces what? Growth hormone, right? Growth hormone, right? Lactotrope produces what? Prolactin. Prolactin. Although under normal conditions, they produce only these substances, they still have this machinery, guys, the genes that are necessary to produce the other one as well. What do I mean by that? The somatotrope will have some genetic material that is capable, if activated, to produce prolactin, right? And the lactotrope will have some genetic material that is capable of producing growth hormone, right? They share it, but the thing is, under normal physiology, it doesn't happen. They are not activated. Those genes are not activated, right? Under normal physiology, lactotrope will produce only prolactin. Somatotrope will produce only growth hormone. Here's the important thing. In some cancers, in some tumors, right? Especially of these origins, what will happen, guys, when there are tumors, there are mutations, genetic mutations, right? What is going to happen if a somatotrope gets tumorous, right? It can start activating some of those genes to start producing prolactin, right? Same way for this fellow. If a lactotrope gets a tumor sometimes, right, it can start producing growth hormone, right? It can start activating those machinery, right? So this is why, guys, now we will talk about growth hormone disorders day after tomorrow in acromegaly gigantism. In about 30% of the patients, they actually have a growth hormone problem. But when you look at their blood, you also see prolactin elevated, right? That is because of this. They come from the same cell lineage, okay? Same cell lineage. We will talk about this in depth day after tomorrow, right? Just for you all to know, put it as a side note. Then the second important point here, right? This one, guys, okay? Take a deep breath, listen very carefully, okay? A little bit complicated, right? Look at this. Now, all of these, right? All of these hormones, they had a proper nucleus which gave a releasing signal, a stimulating signal. They had a proper nucleus, except whom? Prolactin, the lactotrope. Lactotrope did not have a specific nucleus here. Did you notice that when we drew, right? To give a stimulatory signal. It has an inhibitory signal from the arcuate, right? That is the dopamine. That is the dopamine. But no proper stimulatory signal. Why is this, guys? Why is this? Multiple areas of the brain, right? Multiple areas of the brain and the hypothalamus provide stimulatory signals to this lactotrope. One specific location has not been localized, okay? One specific location has not been localized. We cannot say this nucleus will give stimulatory signals. No, it has not been found like that. Multiple areas, they get signals. Apart from that, apart from those multiple areas, there are other things that can stimulate this lactotrope, guys. We will talk about this next after I erase the board. But just for an example, stress, right? There is going to be pregnancy, nursing, a lot of things, right? We'll talk about, there is about 7 or 8 stimuli. They can all stimulate this lactotrope, right? Did everyone understand that? Lactotrope stimulation has a vast majority of stimuli, okay? No one particular stimulus. Therefore, can you think and tell me, based on that fact, should this dopaminergic inhibition, whenever we want to stop prolactin secretion, should it be a weak inhibition or a very strong inhibitory action? What do you all think?
Very strong.
It should be a very strong inhibitory action. right? And that is exactly what is happening, guys. Our pituitary secretion of prolactin is mainly controlled via an inhibition mechanism, right? Okay, because stimulation is almost always continuously happening. The inhibition should be the one who is coming and stopping it and controlling it and keeping it in the serum normal levels, the prolactin. Did everyone understand that concept? Very important. Okay, right? So this dopamine, remember it for now. I will tell you all, we will come across the clinical correlate, why that is important. Okay, right. And there is another thing, guys. These surrounding cells, they are hormones. Now, TRH is the main one, right? They also can stimulate the lactotrope. That also just remember, that also keep in your mind. But from the, if you consider the hypothalamic lactotrope pathway is inhibitory, okay? Right? Hypothalamic lactotrope pathway is an inhibitory pathway. Okay, did everyone understand this? Up to here, all good, right? Okay. Now, guys, okay, look at this growth hormone. We will talk about in depth day after tomorrow. Don't worry. FSH and LH, this is, guys, reproductive physiology, genomes, right? We will talk about it in another module, right? The full physiology, yeah? Basic functions you all already know, right? The full actual mechanisms we will discuss somewhere else. This TSH, ACTH done already. Prolactin we have to talk about. We will talk about prolactin now, okay? Growth hormone will be day after tomorrow, right? We'll talk about prolactin and then we are done for today's class, right? Let's look at this. Prolactin, right? Now, don't forget the features of this hypothalamic prolactin connection. Huh? Very important to understand this part, right? Prolactin, okay? Prolactin. Okay, right. Prolactin, guys. First thing, write down, just write down step by step, because I know later when you all look at the note, you all won't remember. Tell me this, if, write this down, like this. If arcuate nucleus is stimulated, right? If the arcuate nucleus is stimulated, what is happening? Dopamine increases, or another word is prolactin inhibiting factor. If dopamine increases, what happens to prolactin? Prolactin reduces, right? This should be there very seriously in your head. Okay, if the arcuate nucleus is inhibited, same thing opposite, prolactin will increase. Okay, right. Then what conditions can increase prolactin? What stimuli can increase prolactin? Now, just from knowing about this dopamine, can you all tell me one thing that will increase prolactin?
Low dopamine.
Sorry?
Low dopamine levels.
Right, low dopamine. Okay, can you put it in a more complex way to try and scare me? If I was someone who doesn't know medicine, dopamine antagonist. Excellent, right? Dopamine antagonist, right? Dopamine antagonist, right? If you give dopamine antagonist to a patient, what will happen? Dopamine drops, prolactin increase, right? This is one of the first things, right? Okay. Apart from this, guys, there are some other ones which are not directly related to our mechanism here, but just write down, right? Pregnancy, okay? Pregnancy can stimulate, right? Nursing, right? Nursing, what do we mean by nursing, guys? Breastfeeding, right? Breastfeeding, right? Pregnancy and nursing, right? Then, guys, stress and trauma, right? They say, guys, when there is trauma and stress, right, to the body, they say that also can increase prolactin. Okay, just write it down, right? Apart from that, guys, you all must have heard, this is especially for mothers who have difficulty with breastfeeding, right? Nipple stimulation, right? Okay, right? And apart from this, sleep, guys, sleep also can increase some prolactin, right? Sleep, okay? and some other hypothalamic hormones. For example, the one we want to focus on is TRH, right? TRH can also increase prolactin. Okay, TRH. Okay, is this clear? Right? Now look at this, guys. What things can reduce prolactin? Can anyone tell me the first one? What is the first one? What is the first one?
Dopamine.
Dopamine, right? Or dopamine agonist, right? Dopamine itself or the agonist, a receptor agonist, right? Dopamine, right? Dopamine or dopamine receptor agonist, right? Okay. Then, yeah, that's the main one. That's the main, right? Right. We don't need to talk about anything else, right? Now look here, guys. Important thing I want to tell you, right? Prolactin is involved in milk production. One of the, when you look at the functions, right? Functions. One of the main ones is, guys, milk production. Milk production. Right? Milk production. Right? What it does is, guys, we are not going to go into depth here. If you all remember, we said there is something called the lobules, right, in the breast, right? And these lobules, we said they hypertrophy during pregnancy, right? Okay. And if you look at the cross section, we said it is going to be something like this. Outside, we have the myoepithelial cells, right? And inside, we said we have this alveolar cells, right? Alveolar cells, right? Alveolar cells. These alveolar cells, guys, they have these receptors for prolactin. They have receptors for prolactin, right? Okay. And these are, guys, right? What happens is prolactin comes and binds. There are various cellular mechanisms. We are not going to go into that depth, right? But we need to know what things are produced, guys. They will produce with the help of prolactin several things, huh? Not just milk. Look at this. Milk, guys. First is obviously milk, right? This is what is the protein type? Casein. Have you all heard? Casein protein, right? This is the main first type. Via the protein synthetic pathways, huh? When prolactin comes and binds to these receptors, they stimulate these cells to undergo various activities, right? One is protein synthesis, so casein protein, one, right? Various lipids, guys, cholesterol, right? Have you all heard the first few, especially the or first 2-3 times sometimes, there is something called cholesterol, right? That comes out, yes, right? That is made from these lipids, huh? We'll talk about these, guys. The mechanisms are deep there, right? How this milk is produced, right? Have to discuss that separately. And then various ions, right? Various plasma proteins, all of these can come in. And guys, don't forget IgA, right? IgA also can be secreted by these cells into the lumen, right? Into the lumen, right? IgA, right? Now, guys, look at your skeletal note. I have put, wait, before we go there. Now what should happen, guys? Milk should be produced with the help of prolactin. Then milk should be ejected with the help of what? With the help of oxytocin, right? So these two hormones, guys, should work hand in hand, right? How this happens, I have put a nice chart for you all, guys. Go to your skeletal note, right? After childbirth, right? After childbirth, you all will see, right? Look at the light blue line and the green line, okay? Light blue line and the green line. During childbirth, guys, oxytocin, can you see the childbirth line? During childbirth, oxytocin is shooting up, right? This is why uterine contractions for parturition, right? Then what happens, right? Soon after childbirth, what do you see? Oxytocin is dropping. Can you all see soon after childbirth, prolactin is increasing a little bit like this, right? Prolactin is increasing a little bit like that, right? That increase, guys, now here at this stage, it helps breast milk formation, breast milk production here, right? Breast milk production, okay, right? Then what happens in a little bit, prolactin again goes down a little, right? What is happening then, guys? Now what is happening? The baby is brought to the mother, right? Still she's on the bed, but I mean, the first breastfeeding has to be done, right, as soon as possible, right? What happens, right? Oxytocin, which was low now, due to what? First thing, baby's crying stimulus, right? And then the sight and the sounds of the baby, and then the latching of the baby onto the nipple and the suckling reflex. Due to all of that, what is happening? Oxytocin is going to shoot up. Oxytocin is going to shoot up, right? Oxytocin is going to shoot up. Okay, during breastfeeding, during the breastfeeding. What is happening, guys? Okay, let me not join those two together. Let's say here, right? What is happening in a little bit? Now what is happening? Mother is feeding the baby. So milk is reducing. Milk is reducing. Now what should happen? When milk is being reduced, what should happen? Again, prolactin gets a stimulus and that will go up. So you will find, guys, these two in alternating cycles, they go up and down. If you look at that graph, look at that, especially during the breastfeeding cycles, oxytocin is very high, right? And in the in-between times, milk production is happening. Milk production is happening, something like this, right? Look at that graph, look at that graph, right? So this is how oxytocin and prolactin work hand in hand. When they both work hand in hand, guys, right? Milk production and ejection happens nicely and smoothly. This is called milk letdown reflex. Milk letdown reflex. Okay, milk letdown reflex. Okay, right? Okay. Okay, clear? Right? Yeah. Yeah, someone has asked the example for dopamine agonist, guys. Phenothiazine, right? Very common one, phenothiazine, you can write down, right? Dopamine antagonist, phenothiazine, right? All clear up to this point, all good, right? Okay, right? So functions, under functions, guys, I'm going to erase these a little. You all can write, you all can keep writing. I don't have enough space. So one is milk production, right? And the milk letdown reflex needs both what? Prolactin and oxytocin, right? Prolactin and oxytocin. Okay, right. Look at this. Milk production. Then, guys, during pregnancy, the breast tissue development, right? Especially, guys, you all know during pregnancy, guys, there you will learn this for obstetrics. You have to know this. These are common questions, right? The physiological changes of the breast during pregnancy, right? There is enlargement of size, mainly due to the hypertrophy of the lobules, right? Then there is it feels warm to the touch, guys. Why? Blood supply increases. Blood supply to the breast increases, right? There are a number of changes, right? You always study those. Just write down this so milk production is one of the main ones. Next one, write down differentiation, right? You can say differentiation, or you can say development of lobules, of breast lobules, of the lobules, right? This differentiation, guys, mainly it is a hypertrophy, right? There is going to be hypertrophy, right? Okay, right? Then, right. Then, guys, look at this. During pregnancy, now, when prolactin is high, now during pregnancy, what is happening? We said pregnancy, prolactin is high. During pregnancy, prolactin is high. Can you all tell me what can happen we talked about this in hypothyroidism. When prolactin is high, right? What happens to GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone?
Reduce.
Excellent. Yeah, there is an inhibitory action on GnRH. Students, if you all didn't come for my thyroid class, it's okay. If you all don't remember, restream, go through again, right? GnRH, right? And when that happens, what do we get, guys? FSH and LH is low, so we can get amenorrhea, right? Amenorrhea, right? Amenorrhea, right? Oligomenorrhea, amenorrhea, all of that, right? Right. Then, so this is during pregnancy. Yeah, write down during pregnancy. during pregnancy. During pregnancy, right? Oh, guys, another thing I forgot to tell you, right? Just based on this graph, right? Just write it down there. What do you see? What can you tell me about the nature of oxytocin and prolactin release? Just from this graph.
Pulsatile.
Pulsatile, right? Note that down, very important. Pulsatile. Both of these hormones are released in a pulsatile fashion. Okay, both of these hormones are released in a pulsatile fashion. Okay, right? Now, right? So those are the main things we want to talk about, guys, about prolactin, right? Now, write this question down and try to answer it based on the physiology we did today, right? Based on the physiology we did today, right? Did everyone write all of these down, right? There are other functions, guys, we are not going to talk about here, right? Not very important, right? Okay, let me, where's my eraser? You all wrote this down? Okay, write this question. I will first read it for you all, right? Write this down. A 35-year-old female, right? A 35-year-old female complains or comes to the ward complaining of, right? 35-year-old female comes to the ward complaining of lethargy, right? Lethargy, cold intolerance, headaches, right? Reduced appetite, and weight gain, A 35-year-old female comes to the ward complaining of lethargy, cold intolerance, headaches, reduced appetite, and weight gain, right? She also complains of loss of libido, right? Loss of libido and menstrual abnormalities. Loss of libido and menstrual abnormalities. Okay. Okay. Loss of libido and menstrual abnormalities. After a lab analysis, pregnancy is ruled out, right? After a lab analysis, pregnancy is ruled out. Basically, they must have done the HCG, right? We don't know, right? It's pregnancy is ruled out. On imaging, a lymphoma is diagnosed. With a pituitary stalk dysfunction, right? With the pituitary stalk dysfunction. Okay. Right? What is the most likely combination of lab findings in this patient? Right? Look at this, guys. I will draw this. Oops, sorry. Right? Don't worry. This is a little bit not very easy, but I think some of you all will get this. I'm drawing reduced in red. You all can just. Okay. It's going to take some time, guys. Sorry. I need to keep turning my head to look at these answers. All up. Okay, guys, these are serum levels, serum levels. B is down. Okay, all are down. Right. and E is up, down. Okay. Right. Send the answer in the chat, guys. This is A. This is B, C, D, and E. Right. I haven't completely taught this to you all yet. I'm going to teach it using the question, but try to guess. Try to. Right. Tiara, excellent. Good, 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 good. All right. Right. The last part for today, and then we are done. Discuss this a little bit. Right, Tarinda. Okay. Think again. Think again. Amali, good. Panchali, think again. I will give you all a hint, right? All those clinical features, guys, that I gave you. This one, he presents with this, that, it's there to throw you off a little. Okay, those are there to throw you off a little, right? You can use it, you have to use it actually, but don't overthink it. Right? Okay. Yeah, Sachit, good. Right, one more answer. Just guess. Try to try something. Okay, shall we look at this? Look at this, guys. Right. With this question, we are coming to a new topic, right? That's a very short topic, right? This is called, guys, hypopituitarism. Hypopituitarism. Right? Look at this. What happened in this patient, guys? After lab, like all this, right? Lethargy, cold intolerance, headaches, reduced appetite, weight gain. It seems like TSH is low, right? It seems like TSH is low, right? Comes to the clinic, she complains of loss of libido, menstrual abnormalities, seems like FSH-LH problem, right? After lab analysis, pregnancy is ruled out, yes, fine. On imaging results, a lymphoma is diagnosed with pituitary stalk dysfunction. This is the only important part necessary in this question, right? Look at this. Look at this, guys. The answer is B, right? I will explain why. The answer is B, right? Look at this, guys. Now, when we looked at the hypothalamus, right? When we looked at the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary connections, right? We said this is vascular connection and we talked about the different nuclei. When we looked at all the nuclei, what did we say about specifically about hypothalamic prolactin pathway? This is a inhibitory pathway, we said, right? Everything else, guys, growth hormone, of course, it has inhibitory and stimulatory, but everything else has a stimulatory pathway, right? Right. Now, when hypothalamic and prolactin pathway is inhibitory, what does that mean? If there is some pathology destroying this stalk, right? That means this connection is now severed, right? The stalk is destroyed, right? All other pituitary cells, they will lose their stimulating effect, right? They will lose their stimulating effect, right? But what happens to prolactin? What does it lose? Prolactin
Inhibitory
loses
function.
the inhibitory effect because there was a dopamine coming from here, from the arcuate nucleus, right? And that effect is now lost. When we said prolactin, it has multiple numbers of stimulation, and the inhibitory stimulation should be very strong, right? If this inhibitory stimulus is removed, what is happening, especially in these diseases involving the stalk or the upper level, right? Stalk or the upper level, especially, what is happening? Everything reduces except prolactin, except prolactin. Okay, did everyone understand this? This is very important, huh? Very important. All good, all clear, right? Now look at this, guys. This is now I will, okay, I hope everyone understood it. Now we will talk a little bit about hypopituitarism. What is happening, guys, right?
Excuse me.
Hypopituitarism, by definition, what do we mean? By definition, hypopituitarism, you all can put the topic, next topic, the final topic, hypopituitarism, right? By definition, guys, this is a reduction in one or more pituitary hormones, right? One or more pituitary hormones. Serum level is reduced. What do we mean by the term panhypopituitarism? Pituitarism. What is this? Panhypopituitarism. What does that mean?
All home.
All hormones.
All hormones,
Yeah.
right? All pituitary hormones reduce. All pituitary hormones reduce, right? Now, when we look at pathological conditions, right? When we look at pathological conditions, especially if we are talking about tumors, right? Or other types of things, which one is more commonly affected, guys? Anterior pituitary or posterior pituitary? Which one?
Anti-
Sorry? Guys?
Anterior.
Yeah, like even tumors, when we talk about tumors, we said posterior pituitary tumors are rare, right? Posterior pituitary tumors are rare, right? Anterior pituitary is the most commonly affected. So when we are saying panhypopituitarism, guys, most of the time we are talking about anterior pituitary hormones that have reduced, right? There can be posterior ones reducing as well, but not very common. Usually posterior ones, somehow they are able, even this guys, right? This is an interesting concept if you all want, right? Even when the pituitary stalk is severed like this, if the pituitary stalk is severed, posterior pituitary, how does it get its hormones? Through neurons, right? Through neurons. What happens is, guys, even if that is severed, right? After a little while, these neurons can regenerate here, right? Neurons can regenerate and start secreting those hormones again, right? So posterior pituitary usually not affected, even if this is severed, right? The neurons, they can do it. But if the vascular pathway of the anterior is severed, no, it's gone, right? It's gone. Okay, there is no regeneration there, right? Like neurons, right? So here, what I want you all to know, panhypopituitarism, usually all pituitary hormones gone, right? And most common causes for panhypopituitarism, guys, causes, if you check, write these down, guys, there are multiple, right? Pituitary adenoma, this is one of the most common ones, right? Pituitary adenoma, right? Sheehan syndrome, we have talked about this, right? Sheehan syndrome, right? Sheehan syndrome. Okay. Then, guys, we have other ones, craniopharyngioma, especially in children. Craniopharyngiomas, right? There is something called, guys, this one, right? I will maybe teach you all some other time. Empty cellar syndrome, right? There's another topic, guys. Right, very interesting disease. I will write some other time. Okay. Then apart from that, we have sarcoidosis, etc., We have many conditions. What happens in these, guys? What happens in these? Look at these conditions. Look at these diseases. These are diseases of the pituitary itself. Right? Not of the stalk. Not mainly of the stalk. These are conditions. These conditions are diseases of the pituitary itself. So what will happen? Tell me what will happen to prolactin in those cases? These are diseases of the pituitary itself, not of the stalk. Right?
Prolactin
What
also
will happen?
decreases.
Sorry?
Prolactin also decreases.
Sorry, Shashank, I cannot hear you. It's not clear. Guys, someone, what happens to all the hormones and prolactin if this anterior pituitary? Yes, all the hormones are reduced, including prolactin. Even prolactin will be reduced, guys, if this anterior pituitary is destroyed, right? Is destroyed. But if the stalk is destroyed, it's a different story, right? That's the difference I want you all to understand. When isolated stalk injury or above, right? If we are going the stock level or above, what is happening? Everything reduces except prolactin, except prolactin. If we are going below the stock, if the anterior pituitary, if there is an adenoma, prolactin can reduce, right? Prolactin can reduce because the lactotrope can be damaged. Did everyone understand that? Very clear. Give me a thumbs up. Huh? These are the last few minutes. I know everyone is tired. Yeah. Okay. Right. So what are these conditions, guys? What are these conditions that can cause a condition like this where the stalk is damaged? Right. These are not very common, guys. These are not very common. There are some conditions, right? You all can write down some CNS lymphomas, right? CNS lymphomas, right? Another one, there is something called, guys, neurosarcoidosis. Neurosarcoidosis of hypothalamus, of the hypothalamic area, right? Neurosarcoidosis of the hypothalamic area, right? There is another one, guys, Langerhans cell. These are not very common. Langerhans cell histiocytosis. Histiocytosis. Now, all these diseases, guys, not very important for MBBS, right? In neurology, you can come across a few, right? But not very important. Langerhans cell histiocytosis, histiocytosis. But the physiology here, I want you all to understand, that is important, right? The physiology part here is important. If the stalk or hypothalamus is damaged, right, the prolactin can still be elevated, whereas all the other hormones will drop when you look at the patient's serum. Okay, right? Understand that. Very important. Okay, right? Then that's it, guys. That's it for today's class. So that's the final two, hypopituitarism and panhypopituitarism. Panhypopituitarism, generally, we consider that all hormones are reduced, right? Even prolactin. But there are some special cases, right, where everything will reduce except prolactin. Okay, you have to know that. Did everyone understand? I know there are junior. Nisha, you are in, I think, second year, right? Did you understand everything? All good? All clear? Right, excellent, excellent. Let me see some faces, happy faces, sad faces. What's happening? Right, Elton, did you understand? All good? Right, excellent. Right, okay, right. Other faces are hidden now. I can't see faces, right? It's okay, right? Shabir, everything all good? Right, excellent, excellent. Right, who else is here? Tiara, all good? Right, okay, right. Okay, guys, so that's it for today, right? Pituitary done. Now we will talk about growth hormone on day after tomorrow, right? Same time, I will drop a message for you all. I will put the skeletal note for that as well. Okay, right. That's about it, guys. Good night, right? If you all have any question regarding the chapter, drop me a message, right? Before the next chapter, because we are going to use some stuff from this pituitary for that, okay? For the growth hormone. Okay, right. That's about it, guys. Good night. Right. See you all in the next one.
Thank you. Good night.
Right. You're welcome. No problem.